Yes, sir. Viewers there yet? Good afternoon, viewers in Newfoundland and Labrador, coast to coast in Canada, and anywhere in the world you may be tuning in. This is it, the Newfoundland and Labrador Men's Provincial Final. Next stop for the winner of this one will be the beautiful Brandt Centre Arena in Regina, Saskatchewan, to represent Newfoundland and Labrador in the inaugural Montana's Brier. So I'm Rob Thomas, and I'll be your host this afternoon, and I'll be joined by play-by-play man Steve Sporty Bragg. Sporty, there were four, probably five of the teams that played this week that could have been in this game. But we're down to two former Brier reps, Greg Smith and Andrew Symonds. But one of them has worked considerably harder to get here. While Greg Smith and his team have been off the ice since noon yesterday, Team Symonds have been involved in tiebreakers and semifinals. Sporty, Team Symonds had to play deep into the evening last night, and a stressful tiebreaker which ended with Symonds made probably the shot of the week, making a surgical triple to beat defending champ Nathan Young in an extra end. And then he had to gear down, but somehow be up and ready to play a very tough Ryan McNeil Lambswood team at 9 a.m. this morning, which they also won in 10 ends. Do you think that hurts them, or are they officially on a roll?
Well, thanks, Rob. It's great to be in the broadcast booth with you today. And to answer your question, I think it helps them. They're running on adrenaline right now. They're riding the wave. They're on a serious heater. I think the only hotter team in sports right now is the Edmonton Oilers, have won 16 in a row. So they're going to ride that right to the finish of this game. Rob, I can tell you, there's two things in life that are certain, death and taxes. And I can tell you two things about this game. First, there will be a Smith that's going to represent Newfoundland at the 2024 Brier, and that's going to be Greg or Alex. And second, we're going to see one of the coolest things in our game, as we're going to see a couple of guys who are going to go to their first Brier. On Team Greg Smith, Zach Shirtleff and Zach Young are vying for their first Brier appearance. And on Team Smith, Steve Trickett and Colin Thomas hope to get to there first. It's going to be a great afternoon of curling. Buckle up, fans. We're in for a wild ride.
Absolutely, Sporty. And I was thinking the same thing, and these guys, between Colin and young Zach and Stephen, they're all really good friends. They're on opposite ends of the spectrum today, and even though one would be happy to see the other go there first, they really want this. There's no doubt. Let's take a quick second, just introduce the teams. Greg Smith throwing now, so Greg, of course, is the skip. Chris Ford plays third for him. Zach Young, that we'd mentioned, and Zach Shirtleff, which will meet a little bit later. He's the import. Adam Boland is the fifth, and Leslie Ann Walsh is the coach of that team. On the other side, Andrew Symonds. Colin Thomas plays third. Stephen Trickett at the second, and Alex Smith, and we'll talk about that too a little bit later, as Alex is spearing in for this team this week. And Dave Noftel is their alternate. So, like I say, Sporty, I don't think there's no more exciting game in curling in Newfoundland than this final. And let me just to continue to say that, for those fans, the winner of this will go. And no, you're not missing Brad Gouju. Of course, Brad Gouju is already in the Brier. He is Team Canada. So this gives Newfoundland a chance to send a second rep, and thus this championship all weekend long.
Absolutely, Rob. So right out of the blocks, Greg Smith does have hammer by virtue of finishing 7-1 in the round robin. So Andrew Symonds put up a center guard. Greg came right behind a real nice shot by Zach Shirtleff. And then the attempted freeze came up short. Greg tried to dry the wing and went heavy. And now Andrew has asked his second, Steve Trickett, to come in and freeze that rock. And he's made a very nice shot, nestled up against that yellow in the top 4 foot.
It's a great start, and everything we'd expect out of these two teams. So you've got the corners or the centers up, and that was just a beautiful shot by Stephen Trickett to freeze that. So now Greg is going to try to come around that the one that you can see the blue and get in again for second shot. But this is the classic beginning to two teams that are aggressive.
Yeah, Robin, you mentioned the prize for these guys is a trip to the 2024 Montana's Brier in Regina, and a couple of interesting stories on both sides of that. Greg Smith has been at the Brier twice. He played his first Brier in 2018 at the Brandt Centre in Regina. And on Andrew Symonds' team, His fifth man is Dave Naftel. Dave has played a Briar, and he's been fifth man twice. The last time Dave was a fifth man at the Briar was 2006 with Ken Pettigrew, Ryan LeDrew, Jeff Rhodes, and Keith Dewar, and that Briar was played at the Brand Center in Regina. So maybe Dave is the lucky charm here this afternoon. We're going to find out, but it's going to be a great game.
So you saw that Zach came in nicely there, but didn't quite get in fully behind cover. Now they've got Andrew wants Stephen to just throw this again and get back to the back. They're sweeping it. It looks like it's in pretty good shape. Actually curled a tiny bit too much, but another great shot there for Steve Trickett, who seems to have the early weight. It looks like all the guys that have gotten their weights, this should be a really good end.
That is a really nice shot by Steve. The only problem with that rock, it's just behind the tee line, Rob. It's biting the back button. So now you've seen Greg Smith is going to call for his second Zach Young to throw a draw and come down and freeze right to that. And we got a lot of rocks in play right out of the blocks here.
So far, only one behind the back line. And so, I mean, both teams want to mix it up, and we'll hear from the skips. They totally respect each other's abilities. So here's Zach Young now. His first thing he's got to do is get by that blue guard. They're sweeping it hard, and he just ticks off it. He may have been a little down weight, Sporty.
Yeah, just a little light on that one. So almost every rock is in play here, Rob, so far. Just the one rock that's not in play. Today, we also have a number of other tankards going on across the country. We'll do our best to try and update you. I can tell you, in Ontario, John Epping is in the semifinal, and the ageless wonder, Glenn Howard, is in the final. In Quebec, Felix Asselin is playing Jean-Michel Arsenault. And in PEI, Tyler Smith just captured his third tankard in a row out of PEI, so he'll be at the Briar.
Wow. Okay. Now, as you see here, this is looks like a bad miss. Of course, it's not Colin's first rock. Now, actually picked up some debris on the ice, and it took off. So they've lost that rock now. So, see if Greg Smith can can take advantage here.
Yeah, you don't like to see that a pick, no matter what side of the rock you're on, Rob. It's very unfortunate to happen in the first end. And, shout out to Harold Walters and the entire team here at the Remax Center, the St. John's Curling Club. The ice, from speaking to all the curlers, has been fantastic all week. Lots of good curl, great speed, and it allows all these great curlers to be able to make a lot of good curling rocks.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, they've been doing a lot of work, a lot of late night work. Okay, here we go now with Chris Ford's first. He's got to get by. He's trying to just pick off that blue, and he's done it very nicely. So he's picked off the shot rock now, and forces Andrew now to hit, and I think he's going to play a hit and roll. His other blue that is up, let's say, in front of the yellow. I mean, that's not going anywhere. So I think he's going to play a hit on this shot rock. And
he is, Rob, and that was a great shot by Chris Ford. Always throws the upweight very well. Chris, of course, hails from Gander, Newfoundland, and I'm sure there's lots of folks out in Gander interested in the result of this game this afternoon.
Yeah, there's a lot of people watching right across. Now you see Colin, looks like this one stayed on a very straight line on him. So now he's just taken off the guard that was there. So big advantage here for Greg Smith. Can't tell by looking there, Sporty, if he's lying too or if he's.
Of course, they're at the other end of the ice here, so we're looking at what you're looking at here. It looks to me like he is lying too, I believe, and I think he's going to try and come down and corner freeze that blue, which I think could be a really good shot, or he's also indicating that he might just draw behind that stagger. They're debating between those two rocks, and I think he's opted for the draw, Rob.
Yep. Well, chance to put some pressure on here. I mean, he does have last rock. Here we are at the first end of the men's provincial final in St. John's, Newfoundland.
So Chris Ford has been at the Briar before. He actually played in 2019 in Brandon, Manitoba with Andrew Symonds. And now he finds himself on the other side of the sheet trying to beat Andrew Symonds to get to his second Briar.
Well, Chris is a great shooter. As you said, his up weight is second to none. And now he's trying to get around with a very soft touch. If he gets by the guard, and he does, he sits right there too. And it looks like right now they're lying three.
That's two really great shots this end by Chris Ford. That's about as good as he could do. Now we're sitting right behind the sheet. You can see, Rob, about 2/3 of that rock. And I think you're going to see Symonds throw a hit down here, and he's going to see if he can hit what he sees, I think, and maybe he can get the back one going as well.
I think this is a call double all the way here, Sporty. He, at this point, I think he's thinking, something's if I only give up two here. But if he ever gets these two out, he puts himself in a much better position.
Yeah, the only challenge is, Rob, he makes this double. He is losing the shooter.
Yep.
And that then allows Greg to maybe try that draw again, get a bit deeper in the back forefoot, and maybe bring a possible three into play. You never want to give up three in the first end.
So they jumped on it right away. Colin did. Now they're off for a bit. Looks like it's going to be close. He doesn't want to jam that back one. He jammed it, but he does roll far enough so that Team Smith now only lies one. So that's a big shot there for Symonds, his first shot here in this game, because he was starting to look at a 2 or 3 for sure.
Yeah, that's key, Rob, that he was able to spin that to make it third shot, because that blue on top of that yellow, that's not going anywhere. It's fully covered. So Greg's going to have to make a nice draw here to lie 2, but still a good opportunity for Greg Smith. You know, I mentioned that 2018 Briar that Greg went to. He actually won the Sportsmanship Award when he was up there, which he said was quite a thrill for him. So great stuff by Greg Smith, and now he's looking to put this in the back forefoot or on the tee line in behind those two staggered rocks.
I've talked to many people, Sporty, that were up at that Briar, and Greg became a fan favorite very quickly. Greg, he puts his emotions out there. He lets you know if he loves it or hates it, and people love that. So this is his first shot now in the first end here. He's trying to just come around the blue one and stay shot. So same shot that Chris Ford just made.
They're just dusting it, Rob. They seem might be a little hot, I think.
If he goes back to his back one, I don't know if he lies 2. I think it's a little too heavy, Sporty, once they get out of the... Oh, yeah, definitely. So right now, Team Smith is lying 1 behind lots of cover, but right now, number 2 belongs to Team Symonds. So, you know, the force is on here. I think if you see Symonds now, he'll just play a draw back to that one. Well, if he does stay in the top of the forefoot and gets shot, as long as he's a little bit covered, well, Smith shouldn't be able to hit and stick there for 2. But so yeah, you see, Alex just pointed there to the tee line, to the button. So not interested in going to the back one right now. Just going to be a cold draw to the forefoot.
So Rob, you mentioned Alex Smith there. He's had a great year. I was fortunate enough to be up at the Canadian Senior Curling Championships with him in December in Vernon, and we had a good ride out there, great tournament. And then Alex had this opportunity to play with Andrew Symonds, and Alex played one Briar in his career. It was in 1989, Rob, with Lauren Henderson. So if he can get to the Briar today and win this game, it will be a 35-year gap between his Briars. And I don't know, we might be witnessing Canadian curling history here, because if there's someone out there listening to this broadcast who can tell me someone who's had a 35-year gap in Briar appearances, I'd love to hear about it. So exciting opportunity for Alex Smith.
Yes, for sure. It's a great shot here for Andrew. He's put it in nicely. I don't know if he might have wanted to either stop a little bit quicker or get down to that back one, but it's certainly a well-thrown shot. I believe it's shot rock, but now this call...
Rob, I think he can come down with a heavy draw.
Yeah.
And he can just tap it almost on the nose. He's just going to have to paper the top. And if it even goes back on that yellow in the back 8-foot, he's going to get 2. That blue that goes back is not going to be second shot. So it's a very delicate shot here in the first end, but it is an opportunity for Greg Smith to score 2 in the first end of this 2024 men's Newfoundland and Labrador Tankard final.
Here it is. Greg's just throwing there now, leaving it in the hands of the sweepers. Like you said, heavy draw. Just wants to let the sweepers do the work once it's online. It's just, it looks like it's been really good. Now the sweepers start to jump on it. Now is it going to move too far on him?
They're working it hard for line, Rob.
If it sneaks
Oh,
by.
Greg has called them off now. Line looks pretty good.
Oh, that's a perfect shot. They got it. There you go. So that's a 2 in the first here for Greg Smith. What a great shot with his last rock. So it's sort of the way we thought Sporty had started. Is a whole lot of rocks in play and a lot of surgical shots, and Greg Smith comes up on top with a 2.
Yeah, that's an absolute pistol, as we say in curling. Great shot by Greg Smith, and he leads 2-0 after one end of play. We're going to take 30 seconds, and we'll be right back.
And welcome back. We're at the St. John's Curling Club Remax Center live, broadcasting the Newfoundland and Labrador provincial finals for men's curling. And we have Greg Smith and Andrew Symonds. I asked Greg before the game how he felt about today's game and playing Andrew, and let's see if we can hear from Greg here. Hey, Greg. Well, hey, congratulations on making it to the final. So you're playing Andrew Symonds, and you guys are from the same club, and you know each other really well. So there shouldn't be any surprises there. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on playing Andrew, and if you have any certain game plan in mind.
Yeah, so we're right where we want to be, first of all, which is exciting. You want to be here on Sunday. It's familiar territory playing Symonds in a final. Did this in 2018. He's a shot maker, so we had no doubt that he'd have some really tight games and probably have the ability to pull them out, which he did. So there's no surprises there that we meet at the end of the week. I think the biggest thing is not leaving him. Those big shots are going to be key. Not leaving them for him because he will make them most of the time. But we're comfortable playing against them. We've played each other tons and tons of times. We know that we both will probably want some rocks in play at times, and I think we're both comfortable with it. So whoever executes the best today will win, and that's about it, really. So right where we want to be.
Thanks, Greg, and good luck in the final.
Thanks so much.
Hey, Greg. Well, thank you, Greg.
That's great stuff, Rob. These broadcasts, we're taking it to another level here now. Live interviews and, anyways,
Everything but putting headphones on him on the ice.
all good stuff. But you had that interview with Greg. Let's take our hat off to Greg Smith. By my count, this is 5 of the last 7 Tankard finals he's played. He, of course, won in 2018 and 2021, and he lost the last 2 years to Nathan Young. So to be in 5 out of 7 finals, and he's had a couple of different looks on his team, just tells you the caliber of curler that Greg Smith is. So hats off to him. And he said they always have great games together. I don't know if you recall, Rob, but we broadcast the semifinal of the 2022 Rick Valzo Classic, and Greg was up 7-3 after 6 ends in an 8-end game. Andrew scored 4 and then stole 2 to win that game 9-7. So there's going to be lots of rocks in play. It's going to be, don't stay tuned for the 10 ends, because I think it's going to go right down to last rock.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I was myself and Laura Strong, I think. We broadcast, my first broadcast, it was his second game, I think. And it was these two teams. And of course, Smith got up 5-1 after 5 ends. And as a commentator, I was like, okay, this is getting away from him. And as Laura reminded me, and I'll remind the viewers, these are 10 end games, not what we're used to seeing in the slams and the 8. So this is 10 ends, and as Laura said, there was lots of time to come back. And sure enough, Andrew Symonds did come back from that 5-1 deficit and did beat Smith in that round robin game. So anything can happen.
Absolutely, Rob. And, I did a broadcast with Jeff Cunningham there earlier in the week and asked him if he ever thought the Brier would go to the 8 ends. And, we follow the World Curling Federation, so that's why it's 10 ends. But at some point, the 8 end game is a little friendlier for TV, and it may very well go to 8 at some point down the road.
I think it will, Sporty. So here we are now in this one. We've got Stephen Trickett now being asked to make a double peel off the back. If he makes it perfectly, he'll get his corner. There's the roll off. He makes the nice double peel there, and he does stay for the corner and nicely guards his first shot rock there. So that's a great shot for Trickett. I mean, right now you got young Stephen at 100% plus.
Yeah, that's a beauty shot, Rob. As you said, he makes the double peel. He rolls over for a second corner guard, covering that one in the 12-foot. And as you know, when you have the hammer, you always want to be playing to the wings if you can. And so Zach is going to try to come right back and make a double peel of his own.
1, 2, and he jams the one on the back. But again, another great shot by Zach. He does take those two corners off. So now nothing up front. And Symonds will have a decision to either guard his own rock here now or split the rings and go for the, as we used to say, the junior deuce. Basic leave everything there, but he's opted to put up another guard here now.
Yeah, that was a good result from Zach Young. I mean, it got rid of the 2 guards. The jam you can live with because there's no traffic up front there. So as you say, Steve Trickett is going to throw the corner guard. Steve's got, even though he hasn't been at a Brier, he's got a couple of Newfoundland jackets in his closet. In 2012, he played with Colin Thomas, actually, his teammate, and Spencer Wicks and Brendan Murphy. He was playing second, and they won the 2012 Newfoundland Junior. And in 2014, he played with Adam Boland, Evan Kerley, and Zach Young, who's on the other team, and won the Newfoundland Junior. So he does have 2 jackets, and there's a lot of storylines in this game, but Steve finds himself playing against his good buddy Zach Young to try and get to the Brier.
For sure. Here's a straight back attempt now from Chris Ford, trying to get it on the nose and drive it straight back and touch that blue, and just misses it. Rolls over for a center guard, but that might be more of an advantage right now to Andrew Symonds.
Yeah, with no hesitation, I think Andrew went up there and he's going to try and come around that center guard, Rob, and put one probably top 4 he'd like. Biting 4 would be great. Maybe even into the full 4, and he'll be lying too. And put some pressure on Greg Smith.
So important shots here early in the game, but right now, okay, you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm watching Colin. He's got his hand up immediately that he feels like he threw a bit too much weight here. He's definitely want to be staying in for second shot, but the other thing to watch here is where you put this for the double takeout, because we all know that Greg Smith and his team are great with big weight shots. So he comes back to the back of the 4. Maybe a little steep for a double, but he'll have a look at it.
I think the double is there, Rob, if he wants to take it out. He's got to hit it pretty thin, that rock
careful.
out in the 8 foot.
Not to jam it back, too.
Yeah, but I think it could be there. Now, another shot he could take is the one that's almost on the tee line out in the 8 foot. He could just hit and roll in front of that blue rock, which I think they're talking about as well.
Yep.
It is pretty steep for the double. You're right. He's going to have, if he takes that double on, he's going to have to hit it pretty thin, and it is questionable as to whether he can get it by that back yellow.
Okay, so I think the call has been made now. So for Chris Ford, it's a hit, just a little rollover, stand on, or just lay right in front of that shot rock.
Yeah, Robin, if he puts it in front of that shot rock, Andrew Symonds has to deal with it. So the roll is key here, and it's important for the sweepers to be communicating on the weight, and it's all about the line too. And right now,
it's starting to break here, I think, and you can hear Greg. He's shouting hard. They got to sweep this to keep it clean, keep it straight. He gets the piece, and he gets the roll on top. Does knock back the blue rock a little bit, so it's not frozen. But there is, as you can see, there is a guard up front, which I think is partially covering that one.
That's still a pretty good shot by Chris Ford. He made a couple of beauties in the first end. Chris works out in Long Harbour with Valet, and he said he wanted to say hi to the gang and shift to EW. Whatever that means,
That's
I don't
their
know.
lingo, yeah.
But Chris did want to say hi to his coworkers out there.
Excellent. So got. I don't think he's calling for any weight here, Sporty. I think he just called to come down to it. I don't know if he comes down to it, if he can tap it back enough to lie to. We'll see when he gets closer to the house how Andrew's calling this.
Yeah, it looks like he's got a bit of weight, Rob, almost like a backline sort of weight,
That
maybe.
would
is it?
indicate that he's trying to tap that back. So now you'll see Steven's working on it. So that's what we call the curl side. He's trying to make it curl as hard as he can to try to avoid the back one. He's definitely got enough to touch it, but just drives it straight back onto the yellow. So still line one, partially behind, and Greg's got to be careful here. He doesn't want to roll out.
Yeah, that's a pretty good shot because it makes a little bit of room there if Symonds is trying to get to. It is pushed out of the 4-foot, but I think Greg is
Going to be soft. Yeah.
is he coming down and just playing the freeze, Rob?
Seems that the ice indicates he might be tapping it back, and he could be freezing. And
Rob, you mentioned in your intro there that as we said, the prize is the trip to the 2024 Montana's Briar, and if everybody out there is wondering what we're talking about, Montana's Briar, Tim Hortons was the sponsor since 2005, but we're going to have a new sponsor at the Briar this year. It's going to be Montana's, so be interesting to see if there's a new look there or whatever the case might be. But
we're moving from donuts to ribs. I like it. Yeah. Oh, and thank you, a big, huge thank you, obviously, to all the sponsors in Montana's for coming around with this. Man, this is a start of something new and exciting. So you can see here by the weight coming down that this is just a freeze, I think, and a little tiny tap and lie one. But if he freezes it, obviously Andrew has to deal with to try to get a 2.
And that's a pretty nice shot by Greg. He's got the corner freeze there, and it's right on top of the top button. So real nice shot by Greg Smith. And Andrew's going to have to work hard here now, I think, to get a deuce.
And he's going to have to be careful here, Sporty. If he ever moved that yellow a foot to the right as we're looking at it, he'd just leave a double sitting there, and he doesn't want to do that. Right now he's lying 1, and he's sort of, I know it's real early, but he wants to score next. He doesn't want any steals now. So it'll be interesting what type of weight, or does he ever do something from the other side? No. This is going to be an interesting shot. So he's got a lot less ice than Greg, which tells me he's obviously throwing more than draw weight.
I think he is, Rob. With that ice, he's probably throwing a back line, I think, sort of weight. He wants to move those around. I think he's trying to squirt that yellow out into the open and leave his shooter there. The blue will probably go back a little bit, but he's just trying to push that yellow into the open.
And then if he ever stayed right there and lined up his 2 blue to come back on the yellow, well, he'd be in business. So delicate shot here for Andrew Symonds as we're playing the second end here in the men's provincial final in Newfoundland. And it's been intense right from the start, and like I say, it's 10 ends, and we'll see what happens here. Now you got Symonds. This one seems to be staying way out straight on him.
Yeah, they never laid the broom to it for a while, and now Stevie Trickett is really trying to carve this to get it over to chip that yellow.
Oh, he doesn't want to touch his blue, and he did. Well, that's not what he was looking for. So right now that changes it, and Smith is now lying 1 on the top of the button and covered. So now I think what you'll see Greg do is just try to choke off whatever draw he can.
He's even talking about, Rob, coming down and freezing right to the face of his rock. You got to be careful that you don't come down and set up some sort of double.
Yeah.
I mean, that rock is in in a pretty good spot now. It is a bit of a higher guard. I think Greg's concern is that Andrew can play that kind of backline weight, get around the guard and move that yellow. It wouldn't be an easy shot, and that's why he's contemplating coming into the house and on top of his own. You just have to be really careful with this shot. You can't
be heavy.
Leave a double.
Yeah, this can't be heavy. I mean, anything light is good and it guards it. Anything a foot or more heavy, and you may just set up some type of a double you don't want to do here. So another very exacting shot for Greg. He's sort of, I guess he's feeling it. He thinks he's got the weight, and this is another chance. If he makes this perfectly, there's a chance he could steal a deuce.
Yeah, I mean, you always want to put pressure on your opponent. That's the name of the game. So if he does make a good rock, there's a real good opportunity to steal. Now, I did just see 40 there, Chris Ford, tap the top of the 8 foot. So they may just be coming into the top 8, Rob, not freezing, and really just trying to choke off that access to the button. It would be a real tough shot for Andrew Symonds.
This is a sweeper's call for sure. If it's short at all, they're going to let him know real early. So Shirtliff and Zach Young calling back and forth. They are off it now, which tells me that they want now to curl and make sure they block.
And Greg is really getting his team to try and curl this rock, and they have finished it really nicely.
So he is, I think that one he threw is third. So right now, just lying one, but I mean, totally undercover. And it looks like Andrew's going to have to draw not only to the white, but a good part of the white to get a point here.
Yeah, Andrew is in a lot of trouble here, Rob. That is going to be a precise draw. He has to just get by the top yellow, and he's got to put 2/3 of the rock on the button. There's very little room for error.
And I'll tell you what, Sporty, he can't touch that, because if he ever got a little inside and tapped it, he can give him a second point here.
You're absolutely right, Rob, and you don't want to go down 4-0. I know we've talked about it. It's a 10-inning game. It is a long game, but 3-0 is going to even be a harder hole to climb out of. But 4-0, you absolutely don't want to give up the steal of 2 here. So you have to err on the side of caution, and this has to be outside, if anything, on the miss. You cannot chip that yellow.
Big shot here. Andrew Symonds early in this game. If he ever makes it, he got the momentum, but it's in the hands of the sweepers now, and let's see how they react. This one seems to be out further than Greg's was, so now it's all up to the weight. Both sweepers now pounding it.
They're working this really hard, Rob. I think they're going to have to work it hard to get it there, Rob.
They're coming on it hard here now. He's got to get by the first one. Gets by the
really
first
pushing
one.
it, Rob. Oh,
not quite.
Gee.
What a fantastic effort by Andrew Symonds. You can hear the crowd in the back here. We're full house here in St. John's Curling Club, but there it is. That's a steal of 1 for Greg Smith to put him up 3-0 now after 2 ends. And we'll be back with some more exciting action here in the third end. And welcome back. As we've mentioned, we're at the Newfoundland and Labrador men's curling finals. I had a chance also to talk to Andrew before the game, and I asked him pretty much the same thing that I asked Greg. So here's that interview.
Hey, Andrew. Congrats on making it to the final. It's been a long road for you guys. So you got Greg Smith in the final. You guys are from the same club, so you know each other really well. Give me some quick thoughts on playing Greg, and how's everybody holding up after the 2 extra games, and what are you looking forward to?
Well, anytime you get a chance to play in the final, is you're looking forward to that for sure. I mean, you play all week, try to play on Sunday, and that's what we've done. In fairness, it has been a long road. We were on our face, I think, on Thursday afternoon after our second loss to Nathan, and we knew we really couldn't afford a third loss, and went out for a team meal with the boys and a few laughs, and I think that was really big. So came out Friday, and we got a couple of wins that we had on Friday. Was huge, and then Saturday morning, of course, to get that secure playoff spot. Last night's game against Nathan was wild finish, crazy game, but fortunately we got through that. We played played a really well game this morning against Lambswood. In terms of Greg, I mean, we just need to play well. They got a great team. They always play well. Greg is a great curler. He's always up for making the big shot. So I think the key to this game for us is to continue to play our game and play at a fairly high level. And hopefully we can avoid the big end. And if we do that, it should be a close game, and hopefully it goes our way.
Well, looking forward to a great game, Andrew. Good luck in the final.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks for that, Rob. So obviously, Andrew and the boys were in a tough position there midweek, and nothing solves all, like maybe a nice team meal and a couple of beverages, and got right back on track. And they find themselves in the final of this 2024 Newfoundland and Labrador Tankard.
I love that, Sporty. I love that, they knew they were down, as he said, on his face, and hey, let's get at it here. Let's relax for an evening. And another thing I did notice about both Greg and Andrew is the total respect for each other. They both said, of course, different interviews, both said that each of their the other skips can make the big shot at any time, so they got to be careful. So a lot of mutual admiration here. Everybody knows that these are great teams. So they are continuing to show it here. But now Andrew got his as he said, he'd probably say he's on his face again right now because down 3-0, and he's got to get a deuce.
Yeah, so to get you up to speed on this third end, Zach Shurtleff came up in the top 12 foot. Obviously, Andrew called for a guard from his lead, Alex Smith. Zach Shurtleff came behind that one in the top 12, slid back 8. And then Alex just put the little draw in behind that corner guard. He's top 12, kind of half in the 12. And now Greg is going to chase that rock that was just put behind the corner guard by Alex Smith.
Yep, we're looking for some looking for some action here now for get around the corner for Andrew, and of course Greg is anything blue now. I just want to get rid of it now. You can see here he's got his lead really working this for curl.
It's got to curl a lot, Rob.
This one is just this one looks like it's staying straight, and there's a miss there. So there's an opportunity handed back there. It's funny to see a straight spot like that, as my buddy Hose out in BC who's watching, he'd probably ask me right now, how straight is the ice, Rob? Well, that seems to be the first time we've seen a straight spot, and I'm not going to answer that, Hose, no. So that's an ongoing joke that a lot of the curlers that used to curl in the days when we used to go to Bay Roberts and Harbor Grace, and so there it is. But now's a chance for Andrew to get around and freeze that back one. He could have hit that top one now, Sporty, and rolled over, but he's chose to play the freeze, so it'll be interesting if Greg changes his strategy after this.
Yeah, he could have done that, Rob, and he's opted to come in behind it. That's going to come up probably top button, I think. It is a 10-end game, so there's no reason for Andrew to panic here. He's down 3-0, but there's still 8 ends of curling. There's a lot of curling left to go. So he just has to try and find a way to get a deuce here.
Yeah,
get on the scoreboard, and 3-2 with the free guard zone. Get some center guards up there and make a game of this. So it's still a long way to go.
So we'll see now where Zach missed the first one on this exact same shot. Now they're sweeping it hard to get by. He's got a much better line, but now they got to get by that guard, and he doesn't get by the guard. So now all of a sudden you've got lots of rocks in play, but I guess no guards up. Now Andrew's got to make a decision because he still has to move that back yellow to score 2 at this point.
Yeah, now he's talking about hitting that rock on the top 12-foot, Rob, and rolling over to the wing, rolling over the other side and trying to space out those 3 rocks. And
so obviously, Sporty, the most important part of this shot is to keep your shooter.
Absolutely. You have to hold the shooter, and you obviously don't want to jam it back on your own there, so you have to ensure that you you get this by the back blue. They're working it pretty hard, Rob. It's starting to move a fair bit. Okay. Andrew is calling for the sweeper to take the roll. He does get it by. So nice shot.
Yeah, and
but
that looks like it bit the top there. So they do lie first, third, and fourth, and so there's a lot of blue in play here for Andrew Symonds. Still only at thirds rocks, so there's lots of time, and I think Greg has gone back to the same shot again. So for the third attempt here now, he's trying to make that double.
So, Rob, I just got a text from Andrew Bull Manuel. He broadcast the semifinal this morning with Jake Cunningham. Boys did a great job. I was watching it on the big screen at home. He said, nice touch with the interview. So you've brought it to a new level here in these broadcasts, which is fantastic.
Well, I really want to know how the guys are thinking themselves, and so it was nice and thank the guys because they were in their pregame routine when I talked to them. So thank Andrew and Greg for letting me get a few minutes in with them. So you got Greg Smith there, got the hit, and then he did roll, but he rolled right across the rings. So gives Symonds again a chance to hit. This time, if he hits right, he could lie 1 and 2. He may be. I think right here. I don't know, Sporty. Did he ever look at the back double, or does?
I think what he's called for, Rob, is he wants to hit this out and maybe just roll to the wing. If he makes the double, great, but he just wants to roll it to the wing here, and he'll have 3 counters in the house to Greg's 1, but they're going to have to work this hard to hold the shooter.
There might have been an audible there for the double. But okay, so he just jams that one. So now there's 3 rocks in play, and I mean, so Greg is number 2, so he's going to call the double on that top now, and just again, this is very exact here. He's got to be he can't be inside of this because he could actually jam it back on the back yellow. But we'll see. Chris Ford throwing the good stuff.
He is throwing the smoke here, Rob. I think he may a nose hit would do it.
Oh, there's that jam. Oh, but he's got away with it. So that was the danger there if he got a little bit inside, but he was lucky that he didn't jam it and leave it there. So now Andrew will play to the outside and lie 2, and at this point in the third end, be happy to take a 2.
Rob, he was lucky on that jam. The rock did roll out, but unfortunately his shooter rolled over and is covered that rock in the 4-foot. It's just dead buried. It's lost behind that corner guard. So now there is an opportunity for Andrew Symonds to go out to the wing, and the deuce is in play.
Definitely. So now Colin Thomas and the sweepers working this hard. This has to be in. This has to be. No. It doesn't look like they've given up on that. So it's a bad miss there for Colin because this gives Greg one of his favorites, of course, the little run back, and it's a short run back. I highly expect this to be made, and if it's made perfectly, Symonds will have a decision if he'll want to try to run it and go for a blank. But at this point, not the way Symonds wanted this end to end up.
Yeah, Greg Smith was literally running back to the hack. As soon as that rock stopped, there was no hesitation in putting that broom down. He loves these shots, and he plays them very well. I fully expect him to make it. This is right in his wheelhouse, and if he can, dead nut it, as we say, Rob, then he's going to have 1 behind cover, and it's going to make it tough on Andrew Symonds.
And here we go. They're sweeping to keep it straight. You know this is going to be really close. He makes the hit, makes the raise, takes it out, leaves it in the open. So mission accomplished. And I think here now you'll see Symonds will probably just have to, although you see Alex is looking at a draw over there, but I think Andrew right now is thinking, okay, we got 10 ends, not 8. Let's just hit and stick. Hopefully he hits and sticks over there and you get a blank in. Now he could come around the center.
Yeah, they're having that discussion now whether they go after the deuce by trying to get in behind cover
Yeah.
Or do they bail out on another end and hit that one out in the 12-foot, burn another end, and come back and try to get the deuce? But if you're going to take that shot on, you got to make it. You want to get your deuce. You don't want to be forced there.
And another thing, Sporty, if he comes around, that guard is so short. If he ever comes around the center, Greg is going to do that again. And if he ever nut at that, then you've got one totally buried on the 4-foot. So I think this is the right call here. This, by the looks of it, is a hit and stick here. And I think if it was an 8-end game, he might have to change, do something different. But
the lead on Greg Smith, Zach Shurtleff, he lives in Hamilton, and so they haven't been together the entire year, but they have worked extremely hard. They played 5 events on tour this year, Rob. Did a lot of travel. They were in Ontario twice, Quebec once, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick. They qualified in 4 of those events. 3 of them were semifinal appearances. So they have been playing very well this year, and they've put a lot of time and effort in here and find themselves up 3-0 in this third end of the 2024 men's Newfoundland and Labrador Tankard final.
so here's Symonds' first shot. He's looking for a hit and stick. He'll want to stay out there and just a little tiny roll to the inside. This it'll give Greg a chance. He'll go all in on the roll here. There's no danger. So I mean, you might as well try to roll and get in behind cover. But Symonds is hoping for something that he can get at and get a blank end.
And Rob, that rock is on the tee line, so he could roll it behind the center guard, but he could even make a long roll over behind the quarter guard and make it very difficult for Andrew. He could get the force if he makes this roll. So this is a big shot if he can get the roll and put a bit of pressure on Andrew Symonds.
So they're coming down and they're sweeping hard on the straight side. They got to sweep hard for a piece here. They've got to make sure he gets it out first, touches it, and the sweep on Chris Ford sweeps that one out. So that one got away from Greg a little bit. Gives Andrew Symonds the easy out here, and he's going to just throw this one through and blank the end. While we watch that, we will tell you that this game has been so exciting. We do have a second game, of course, on the sheet here, and it is the ladies' final. And we have Brooke Gosland with Aaron Porter, Sarah McNeil Lambswood, and Kate Patterson. They're playing 5-time Newfoundland rep Stacey Curtis, Erica Curtis, Julie Hines, Camille Burt, and Jess Cunningham. And right now, there's a big advantage here for Stacey Curtis's team as they took a 3 in the second and stole a 2 in the third and are up now 5-1 after 3 ends of play. So we're going to take 30 seconds here and just regroup, and we'll come back with end number 4 in the men's side. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. We are broadcasting live from the St. John's Curling Club, the Remax Center, and we're in the 4th end of this 2024 Newfoundland and Labrador Tankard final. We're sitting up here high above Ice 4, and it is a 3-0 lead right now for Team Greg Smith over Team Andrew Symonds. In the broadcast booth today, it's Steve Sporty Bragg alongside 3-time Tankard winner, Mr. Rob Thomas. And before everyone gets too excited, he is a handsome man. He is a good singer. but it's not Rob Thomas, the lead singer of Matchbox 20.
I'm still Sporty. I'm still waiting for one of his royalty checks to show up in my mailbox because I'll sign it and take off with it. Nope, I've gotten a lot of that. And just a quick story while while they're throwing here was in my a number of years ago when I started in the business I'm in, I was calling Toronto a lot for our client service. And I said, "Hi, it's Rob Thomas." And he said, "Oh, good. Somebody that's not going to make fun of me." And I said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" He said, "My name is Elvis." And so, and that was the start of it. So, yeah, nope, I heard a lot about that, and I'll live with the name. And he's a good singer, and I like his stuff.
You know, Rob, I was doing a bit of Googling on Rob Thomas. Matchbox 20 only had one number one hit, which surprised me. And it's not one you'd think. It wasn't Push. It wasn't 3 a.m. No. It wasn't Unwell. They were all top three songs. It was Bent from their 2000 album, Mad Season. I was surprised by that. But they're a great band.
So did the one he did with Santana go to number one? I don't remember.
Yeah, he did,
Smooth?
but I guess it wasn't officially registered
officially
as with
Matchbox
Matchbox 20. But good call there.
No, I'm a talented guy. Yeah, that's for sure. So just a quick note to go back to you were mentioning the lead, of course, Shirtliff from Hamilton. I did hear that. So he's been around Ontario for a while. He's been in some quarterfinals. He played with Pat Ferris, I think, and Pat now is actually in the quarterfinals in the men's in Ontario, I think. So he'd also represented Humber College men's in the CIS, and you can't see him that well from here. We can see him, and very obviously he was an all-star rugby player too. He's another one of those big boys that big sweepers. So yeah, so I mean, for those of you who didn't know him here in St. John's, that's a few little bits on the lead.
Yeah, on Zach. He's actually a two-time Canadian champion in rugby, they tell me. And he also did play with Jason Cam, who played with John Epping. So he's played at a very high level.
For sure. Yep.
So, Rob, we have some rocks in play here in the fourth in. We got a center guard, a corner guard, and two frozen rocks in the house. And Greg has called for his second, Zach Young, to come down and make a freeze to those two frozen rocks. And we are going to have some action here in this end.
Yeah, this one's looking very much like the first did with a lot of come-arounds. Yeah. And just to finish my thought on the ladies' side, that ladies' provincials is also the final is being broadcast live, and that's being brought to you by Kathy Cunningham and Heather Strong and Sporty. While we have what I'd consider sufficient experience, Kathy and Heather have a combined total of 24 appearances at the Scott, and as their teams, and that doesn't include the Canadian seniors for Kathy and the mixed and Heather's juniors. So no lack of experience on the commentary over there. So two great games being broadcast simultaneously here on the YouTube channel. So feel free to go back and forth. But we got expect two good finishes here, although right now a little lopsided for Greg Smith and a little lopsided for Stacey Curtis.
Yeah, and unfortunately he was trying to clear, I think, a bit of the front, maybe run that back into those rocks in the house, and there was a jam and missed those two rocks. You mentioned Kathy. I did a broadcast with her, I think it was the 2022 Tankard final, and I asked her how many provincial championships she had, and she had to think about it. And I think she figured out it was 18, so she is definitely, for my money, the GOAT of Newfoundland women's curling. 18 provincial championships. Means I got 14 to go, so I'm going to have to hurry up here in seniors and masters.
Yeah, certainly between Kathy and Heather and Stacey's catching up, but there's a lot of experience here. So we got Zach Young now throwing to try to come around. I think he's trying to call it in the house there, Sporty.
I think he's trying to go around the whole works of it, Rob,
okay.
and get behind those two staggered rocks, and that's going to create problems for Andrew Symonds.
He's got to get by that next guard. He comes by that nicely, and there's two. This is you got the 2 seconds thrown very, very well right now, and that was a great shot for Zach. So his decision time here is definitely not something he wants to do. You're down 3, but I think here, Sporty, he might have to clear something off the front.
Yeah, there's two rocks in well, one's in the 4 foot and one's almost in the 4 foot. They're both behind cover there. Andrew Symonds has got to clean this up. There's a lot of traffic up front right there now, so he has to he has to get Steve Trickett to bring some heat and move some granite here and change around the angles, because it is not looking good for Andrew Symonds right now.
So here we go with the first clearing attempt for Steve Trickett. All of these guys are so good at this shot. Wants to come across the top of the yellow. Moves the yellow. Moves a couple of rocks around. Well,
There's still two guards up there, Rob.
When the smoke clears, there's still two guards up there, yep.
And Greg has got 2 rocks in the house, and I think he's going to throw that exact draw that Zach Young just made. And if he can come down and freeze right to the face of that, I think there's going to cause a lot of problems for Andrew Symonds.
It is. It is indeed. They're looking at it. They want to make sure this is they know they're into a big opportunity here, and they want to make sure they get this right. Okay, he's calling Chris down now to take a look. I don't think they've called timeout yet, but while we watch them, I did, while I do have a second, I did a quick interview with Chris before he throws his rock. Just asked him about how their year is going, and I know they did some traveling. And here's Chris Ford.
Hey, Chris, congrats on making it to the final.
Whoops, sorry.
Hey, Andrew,
that's
congrats on making it. Hey, Chris, congrats on making it to the final. You guys have had a really busy year this year. Can you tell me a little bit about your travels, how you've done, and maybe if you think that's gotten you, helped you get you to where you are today?
Yeah, this year we traveled a lot. We traveled a lot last year too. Both years we did 5 away spiels, 1 here. So 6 spiels, that's more than most teams around here played. So it really feels like it's going to put us in a good position. Just played so many games, a lot of close games. We qualified in more events this year than we have any other year.
That's great. How many games do you figure you played this year?
Played, I guess, 11 Super League, and I'm not quite sure how many away, but at least 5 away, 6 events, 30 plus games for sure.
And 8 more here.
8 more here. Yeah.
Ah, very good. Well, listen, guys, it's going to be a great game. So good luck tonight, and may the best team win.
Great to hear from Chris Ford there, Rob. And while we had that interview on, he brought the heat on his last rock. He did remove the Symonds rock, but also took his own there that was in the on the button. So now Andrew Symonds, I think, is playing a little hit and potential role here, and he could be lying one after this shot in behind cover.
Okay, so he can roll either way here, but they're sweeping hard. Stephen on the straight side there tries to get the hit. Now the roll rolls a little too far, Sporty.
It did just rolled a little too far, but nice attempt there by Colin Thomas. Interesting times in the Thomas household. I was talking to Colin before the game. He was down there with his 2 kids, and his wife is expecting in a couple of weeks with their 3rd child. So congrats to Colin and Fallon on that.
Yeah, another nephew for me on the way. Yeah, for sure. And, of course, his father, Jeff, my brother, in an interesting time, of course. He coaches Nathan, and that game this morning, and had Colin come out on top of that battle. And here Chris Ford has made a hit and a stick there, and going to give Colin now a chance to get back the hit and roll inside. Yeah, Colin's going to be a busy man next year with 3 young boys running around, and they're a very active family. So good for them.
For sure. So they weren't able to get the roll on that last shot, and now Andrew Symonds is going in full offense mode, Rob. And instead of hitting that yellow Smith rock, he's going to try and draw in behind the guards, and he is going after the deuce hard here in this 4th end.
Yeah, this is it's an interesting call. I mean, it's a choice call, because that's as it comes to rolls, it's a fairly straightforward roll. They're outside a little bit. You might see him try to, depending on the weight, try to carve this in a bit.
It's really got to curl, Rob, and it is a little heavy as well. It's going to drift to the back 8 foot.
So, yeah, not working out exactly the way they wanted to this end. This is an end that now, at this point, with this many rocks in play, Greg Smith got 100% in his head. If I don't see one here, this is the force that they're going to, have to take one, and then he's going to get last rock back. So this rock here, if he ever stops this up on the, well, he'll want to be top 4 because he doesn't want to give Andrew an easy double in. So rock position on this is going to be very important.
Yeah, I think he wants to try to get it in the 4-foot there, like you said, Rob, not leave the double. If he comes up too short, Andrew may be able to hit that yellow and roll in under if this rock doesn't get deep into the 4-foot. So, and that's the indication from Chris Ford that they want it right. It's kind of maybe half bite in 4 or almost in full 4.
Yep. So a lot of rocks in play, just about every end, Sporty. There's been not a lot of defense here, even though Greg is up 3-0. Still a lot of rocks in play.
So, Rob, like we said, he really is going after the force. The sweepers haven't left this rock the entire way, and I think it's going to potentially overcurl and wreck on that guard. It's going to be close. No? He does get it by.
Oh, we got by both now. It's up to the weight. Let's see where he goes. He's going to stay in the back, but this is what I was talking about. If he's a little bit heavy, he sets up the double there for Andrew, and I mean he could be behind and lying 2 in behind.
Yeah, Rob, that probably slid about a foot or a foot and a half too deep. And now Andrew Symonds does have this opportunity to make the double. And when the money's on the line and you want a guy to make a shot, Andrew Symonds makes a lot of them, as he proved last night, making that outstanding triple to win the game and beat Team Nathan Young. So this is a big shot in this game. If he can make this double, he may have an opportunity here now to score 2.
Absolutely. Quick update on the ice next to us and the ladies. Brooke Goslin did have a draw for 3, but unfortunately came a little too heavy, so she picked up a 2 and is now down 5-3 to Stacey Curtis. Here we go with Andrew Symonds working it hard for the double. They get the 1, they get the 2, and he's going to stick right there. So he is a great shot. He has left himself a little bit open, and you'll see Greg run right down because this is a fairly straightforward path at making a double back on him. But great shot for Andrew there, and we'll see if Greg makes a double. If he jams it, there's still a chance at a 2 here.
Yeah, if he's trying to double here, Rob, which obviously he is, he's probably going to lose his shooter, or it's definitely going to roll out into the 12-foot. So if he does jam it, Andrew Symonds is probably going to have an open draw for 2. And you can see Greg is coming with the big heat, with the big backswing.
Yeah, you can't see it now. They got the shirt sleeve on it right away as the straight sweeper. This is coming close to the guard. He's by the guard. He gets the shot, but he gets the jam. Does it get out?
Oh, what a shot.
What a
the
shot.
broom's
It
going in the
is
air,
actually
Rob.
out.
What a
Yeah.
great curling shot.
Yes, that is out. So he's made the double. So the big weight and the big sweep there, and the big smile there from Greg as he comes down. That was a big escape.
That's
Okay, now I'm looking there, Sporty. It looks like Symonds is going to try a split here. This is a long split, but it's in the perfect position for a split like this. So this is a gamble, but because if he ever just gets the 1. But I guess he's feeling, I got to do something.
I think he just wants to change it around, get rid of the hammer, try something different, get some rocks out and play, try and get the deuce here. Then start going after the steal. You can get 2 center guards up and just kind of change the complexion of the game. But that was one heck of a shot by Greg Smith, Rob. He had the fire on that rock. If that doesn't hit the Andrew Symonds rock, that's probably out on Mayor Avenue.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well said. Okay, now this has plenty of weight from what I'm looking at it from above, plenty of weight for the split. So now he's got to be careful if he
He's
just
close,
tips
Rob.
it.
He's
If
very
you
close
look,
on
he
this.
comes so close there. He's got the one there, and he's got the second one. Rolls in for the two. Two great shots. What a fantastic split there for Andrew Symonds. Just taking the bull by the horns here, Sporty, and saying, look, I got to do something. And boy, that's a great shot to do it. So he picks up a two here in the fourth end. This is makes it a bigger game. So now it's 4-3 for Greg Smith. Greg does have last rock, and we will be back with some great fifth end action.
Welcome back to the Remax Center, the St. John's Curling Club. We are broadcasting live here. It's the 2024 Newfoundland and Labrador Men's Tankard Final, and we are being treated to quite the curling game. In the final today, it's Andrew Symonds and Greg Smith. Greg Smith currently leads 3-2 as we play the fifth end. In the broadcast booth today, it's Steve Sporty Bragg, along with three-time Newfoundland Tankard winner and 1987 Brier semifinalist, Mr. Rob Thomas.
Thank you, Sporty. That was a great year for sure. And actually, that is a good segue into we are playing the 5 rock rule here with a no tick added bonus because what has been happening was way back when, and I know it well because I was lucky enough to play in the 93 Brier with Gary Oak and Donnie Ryan and Gary. Sorry, I'm trying to watch the other. But anyway, that was the last year with the no rules at all, and it was in one of the games in the round robin, and we had gotten a 1, and we were playing Russ Howard. He was with his brother Glenn, and I guess it was Mada and corner, and we picked up a 1. They picked up a 4. And they said, sorry, guys, but we're going to run you out of rocks. And for 6 ends straight, every rock we put in, they took it out. Didn't matter where it was. So they came up with the 3 rock rule. And I went back to the Brier the next year with Mark Noserthy with the 3 rock rule. And the scores went from 4-3 and 4-2 to 8-7. And there was just so many more rocks in play. And so that was the start of this 3 rock and then the 4 rock. And now, so it's 5 rock rules. So, Swarty, maybe you can explain. Now, this is right here. We're going to see it. Now, if that was on the line, you'll see there, he sticked it.
Yeah, Greg is pointing right at the rock already. He did take that rock that was on the center line, so they've got to put that back. And that yellow rock is going to go.
Yes. Yeah. So this is great that we're talking about it at the exact same time. Now, that what they're asking, and I was wondering, was that rock on the center line in the first place? If it wasn't on the center line, they can remove it. They can tick it. They can't remove it. But now, was it on the center line first? So they did definitely ticked it, and they moved it off the center line. But if they determine that it was on the center line, well, then it goes back, and like you say, the other rock has to come out of play.
Yeah, and they've got the umpire now, Bob Osborne, is coming out. They're going to have a chat about it and try and determine if that rock was in fact on the center line. And, Rob, while we're talking about this, I think how the free guard zone came about was it might have been the 88 or 89 Brier final, I believe. And Pat Ryan, the Ryan Express, were playing. And if I'm not mistaken, they scored 2 in the first end, and they peeled for 9 ends.
Yep.
It was a guard up, peel. And at one point, the fans started chanting boring, and Curling Canada then knew they had to do something. And I think what they've done is great for the game.
Absolutely, and this is, it's interesting that we happen to bring it up at this end and when this is actually happening. So Bob Osborne now is explaining that. So I think the problem here was it wasn't determined right away by probably the two skips that yes, that blue one was on the center line, and if it was, the bottom line. But Bob Osborne can't tell them if it was on the center line.
Rob, we got our technical guys here. Who are, by the way, good chance to give these guys a shout out. Kevin Foley is in the booth with us today, and he's the one who's managing the rock clock and the score and changing all these camera angles. We've also got Tim Healy helping us out, who's been here for the majority of the week. Obviously, Trevor Bartlett plays a lot in that. I think Emily Neri has been helping out. Anyways, they have a picture, and it appears that it was on the center line. It's awful close, but it looks like it may have been on the center line. And you're exactly right, Rob. I think part of the issue here is that they never made that determination between Greg and Andrew prior to that shot being made.
Absolutely, and I mean, thank you to our technical guys. Now, I don't think, unlike like a Sportsnet or something, I don't think they'll come to us and look for any type of replay or anything. But if they do, if we can show it, I mean, but right now it's going to be the gentleman's agreement, and my thoughts were you put that rock there, and you meant it to be on the center line, so it. And Greg's team were the ones that tapped it off. All we can do is wait, but it certainly makes for an interesting situation. And if the rock goes back on the center line and you take that yellow one out of there, obviously it's a advantage to Symonds' team. But that's why they put the rule there to be to the advantage to the team that is coming back.
I just got a text from Jamie Koreb, and Jamie's at home watching, and he sent a picture with an arrow, and it looks like from his picture too that it is on the line. But they're really having some debate over this, Rob, as to whether it was on or not.
Yeah, this would have been a good time. Maybe someday in the future we'll have the skips mic, but for now we're just we're waiting and watching and letting them decide. Don't even know what to say, Sporty. I felt when I saw it, it was on the line, and that's why I said they can't tick it. But that's not up to us.
So ultimately, in a situation like this, Rob, if Bob wasn't sure as the umpire and can't make the call, you got to leave it up to the players, do you? And
Yes.
is it the
That's all there is to it. At this point, it becomes the gentleman's agreement sort of thing, and whatever is agreed upon will be agreed upon. I mean, you see Symonds there. You can't quite see his hands. I'm looking down on him, but he's saying it was moved this far, and Bob is saying, well, if it was moved that far, it was probably on the line. But
Bragg was the offending team here, that he threw the rock.
there's the point.
And so
Sporty, yeah.
does that have any bearing as to how this unfolds, Rob?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Here's where Greg he's got to say, I didn't think it was on the line, or anyway, there's something happening.
It just, Rob, for the first 3.5 ends of this game, it's been just a super well-curled game, some outstanding shots.
Yep.
It's unfortunate that something like this happens, but hopefully we can just get it figured out and move on and play some great curling.
Yep.
And I said 3.5 ends. I should have said 4.5 ends.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And just while we got a bit of time here, Rob, I had said earlier in the broadcast that Alex Smith would have a 35-year gap between Briars. I meant actually playing Briars. You did mention Jeff Thomas here at our curling club, who had the honor, I guess, of throwing some rocks in the Briar last year, the 2023 Briar. He played his first Briar in '79, but he played in multiple Briars in
76.
between.
Yeah, 76.
76 was it? Okay.
yeah.
I think he played in a Briar in every decade. They told me, and
No, you're right, 79.
79,
Yeah.
and he was able to play a full game because Nathan Young's third, Sam Follett, was at the Canada Winter Games in PEI
That's
and
right,
got to the
yeah.
Briar late.
That's right, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
an outstanding accomplishment by Jeff. But for Alex Smith, it would be absolutely a 35-year window between playing his first
playing, yeah,
and second
first,
Briar,
yeah.
which
Yeah.
would be an
Oh,
amazing feat.
So decisions made here, Sporty, and it was left in play. So everything is, all the rocks that were thrown are still in play now, and it's called Stephen to come around to the yellow, and he just tipped off the guard there and has rolled open. So gives Smith a chance. He's calling a draw there, but with last rock and two in the house, I would say that he should probably take out that blue, but we'll see what the call is.
Yeah, these Alex Smith and Andrew Symonds have been around for a long time, and that call did not go their way, obviously, because Greg's rock was left in there. So these guys really got to call on their veteran experience now and shake that off. The decision has been made, and they got to just get refocused now on this curling game and try and get a steal in this Andorra Force.
So we're down to Zach Young now, just after the big delay, but this is Zach's shot here, and he's going to try to hit and just roll over. This one seems to be staying out a little bit on him, and he touches half the rock. Actually nips his shot rock and puts it a little bit further in behind. So he's got two now, lying 1 and 2 in behind the center guard.
Yeah, interesting situation now for Andrew Symonds. There are 2 yellows. He's lying 2. He's looking at making a play on that top blue. You mentioned Zach Young, and I said at the beginning of the broadcast that he is chasing his first Briar, Rob. However, Zach did play in the 2018 Canadian Mixed and had a bronze medal in that in Swan River, Manitoba. And he played that with Chris Ford, Kate Murphy, and Brooke Godsland, who's on the ice next to him now trying to get to her, I believe, first Scotties, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I do believe that's right. Yeah, and so this one comes by close, and Stephen got a great shot there for Steve Trickett as he removes the 2 yellows and keeps his 1 blue directly behind cover. Yeah, so on the ladies' side, I just was watching, and Stacy made an incredible shot there. Brooke is looking for her first, so there will be a first on this ice, and there could be one on the other.
Yeah, I think on that team, Brooke and Kate Patterson and Sarah McNeil-Lambswood have not been at a Scotties.
That's right.
But Erin Porter was at 3 or 4 Scotties, I think from 2016 to 2018. She played third for Stacy, and then she played third in 2020 for Erica. So
That's right. So she's the big experience on that team.
Absolutely.
And so they called Zach to try to make a run back. He just misses the back one. So now we have just the 1 rock in play, and that belongs to Andrew Symonds. He's going to throw up a center guard now because he's trying to steal. So this is try to guard for your life here, and this is where he wishes this was on the 4-foot instead of up on the 8-foot. But he'll work with what he got.
he will. I mean, you're right. He'd like to have this in the 4-foot. It is it's full 12, just nibbling the 8. Try to get the center guard up and see if, like you said, he can generate the steal or get a force. You know, Rob, we mentioned that ladies final. I was fortunate to broadcast the men's final last year, and I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, like to see the raw emotion when you win a provincial title and you're going to the big show, Scotties or the Briar. I remember looking over at the ice at Camille Burt, and it was her first Scotties last year, now going after her second, and she was in absolute tears. And one fond memory of curling I have was the 1997 Tankard, and Kenny Ellis played with Jeff Thomas. Kenny's a tower of a man, and he came in to the club after they had won, and he just bent over and was crying. It was so cool to see, and I got to talk to Kenny. He's here this weekend. I was talking to him on Friday night, but that was such a cool sight, and just let you know how much it means to these curlers.
Oh, absolutely. Well, while you were saying, and a big shout out to Kenny and Ken Senior if you're watching. And yeah, I remember Kenny coming in and broken down. I mean, just and as I was sporty in 87, you know, it was just it's a dream come true for curlers, and that's great. Now this one here, you saw that Chris made the nice run back, but he left the guard, which was what he didn't want to do. But it looks like he might have left that one in on the rings there, but we don't know. It's they took a quick look at it, but the bottom line is it doesn't change the shot. Collins asked now to get one behind the guard, and this time he wants to get it a little deeper, and he wants to be on top of the four or even biting the button here.
Yeah, he'd love that blue to be nibbling that one out in the
Yeah, for sure.
in the 12-foot, because then that'd really bring a force opportunity into play.
Yeah.
Greg is going to now go on the offense.
Yeah.
That rock
Yeah, that's
is in the top 12, almost half 12, Rob, and almost acting as another guard. So Greg is going to ask his third, Chris Ford, to make a draw here, and he's going after the two now with this call.
Yeah, that was short there. I don't know if it was the sweepers there, Sporty, but I was watching. They weren't sweeping it for most of the way down, and then they dug in. So they might have let that go a little too long. And this is a big advantage now here. The one thing that Smith doesn't want for sure is to be deep. That's the worst possible thing. But this one is staying out on him, Sporty.
Yeah, they're really working it hard to bend it at the end there. If you want a guy trying to bend it and take the curl like you talked about, Zach, rugby player, he can put some serious pressure on that brush.
Yeah, and he did. And we're right behind, and you can see that is it's 3/4 buried, but I think there's lots of room here because it's a fairly high guard for Symonds to come around that and tap that. I think right now Symonds with nothing in the 4-foot right now, he's going for a force here, and so if he hits and just stays back over in the back of the ring somewhere, he'll force Greg to a 1 and then start again. Quick update while he's throwing there. Stacey Curtis did get her 2, and it was one beautiful draw to make it, and so she is up 7-3 after 5 ends over Brooke Goslin in the ladies' final. Here's Symonds now, and he's calling his guys on really hard to get it by. First thing they got to do is get it by that top guard, and no, he ticks it. So that's not what he wanted for sure. Now you're going to see Greg put some pressure on here. Or is this last right? No. It's left, okay.
Yeah, Rob, he's looking at, I think, drawing behind that one,
Yes,
that
absolutely.
blue. And if he can do we call it the old Christmas tree, and just tuck 2/3 of that rock in behind, Andrew's going to have to take on the run back. And if he doesn't make it, the 3 is in play.
It would be now. He's changing his mind. He's actually going to draw around that the middle yellow one, the guard. So, yeah, it's firming up a deuce here. But I mean, Andrew Symonds is Andrew Symonds. He's going to go all in and play a freeze on that back one.
I think he probably is going to do that, Rob. And try and
Surprise
generate
on this
the
one.
steal.
Yep.
So he'd like to tuck this in, I guess, Rob, top 8, maybe even close to the tee line here. And Andrews does have a decision to make. Absolutely, that freeze is there.
Unless he leaves a double or something sporty, I think he's playing that freeze. So they're off and on this one. So I mean, it must be fairly close. Now they're sweeping hard. I think this is all for weight here now.
Yeah, they're really working this hard, Rob, to get it in. I don't know if it's going to get there.
Don't know. It's definitely not over the other one. So now again, Symonds is going to make a decision here. If he ever played the freeze now, there could be a steal there.
Yeah, Rob, that was an opportunity missed by Greg. So really, Andrew has 2 options here. He can freeze to it, or I think he's opting for a hack waiter, hit that yellow, flop over into the open, into the back 8. He'll be lying too then.
Yeah, force is
And
on. Yeah,
the force is on.
yeah, and so he'll he'd be happy to get last rock back and see if he can generate something.
And I guess the question here is, Rob, if he hits it and just maybe flops an inch or two and it's wide open, well, or if he, I guess if it's wide open, Greg probably will hit that, obviously, to score one. But if he could ever flip it under, Greg would have to make the double.
Yeah, and I
just don't know if he can get it
don't
under.
think he can get under, but if he flips it out to the outside there, to the outside 12-foot, then Greg will turn around and make the draw. Sweeping to curl it now, but it looks like it should be okay. And there you got the hit, and now they'll try to sweep it out there and make Greg draw, and Greg quickly puts the draw down, and now you just wondering if Symonds, I'm sure, was saying, he just came up short. Maybe he'll add a little more here, and who knows. But right now, here we are in the last rock in the 5th end. Greg Smith up 3-2. He has last rock, and he has to make a draw to the 8-foot for his single against 2.
Yeah, Robin, I think it was the late, great Ray Turnbull who commentated on TSN who said, if you can't draw, you can't skip. And right now, Greg has to make this curling rock to jump out to a 4-2 lead.
These are the times that you draw on, all of those times that you went away, all of those close games, all of those times you had to throw last rock. And this one, although the guys are sweeping it hard from up above here, it looks like it's got plenty of weight to make the 12 or the 8-foot. Curling a little bit for him, but I think it'll get by that blue no problem, as it does, and right into the button. So one for Greg.
Absolutely. So nice shot by Greg Smith facing 2 there. Makes the nice draw. So we're going to go into the 5th end break in this 2024 Newfoundland and Labrador men's Tankard final with the score Team Greg Smith 4, Team Andrew Symonds 2. We'll be back in a few minutes for 6th end action. Welcome back. We are broadcasting live from the Remax Center, the St. John's Curling Club, and it's Sunday afternoon, and it's Championship Sunday. We are about to start the sixth end of this 2024 Newfoundland and Labrador Tankard final. After 5 ends of play, it is Greg Smith 4, Andrew Symonds 2. In the booth today, it is Steve Sporty Bragg alongside 3-time Newfoundland Tankard champion, Mr. Rob Thomas.
Thanks, Sporty. We're going to take a minute now and just do something that we really like to do, and that's thank all our sponsors. This game is so expensive to play that these teams get some sponsors and they travel around a bit, and so Andrew Symonds' sponsor is Hardline Curling, and we put on the screen there Greg Smith and his foursome have a number of sponsors, and they would like to thank them all, and we're happy to put them up on the screen. It's Fun and Fast, Harvey's Home Heating, Dildo Brewing, Asham Curling, Newfoundland Styro, Sensible Gear Curling, and there's Dairy Farmers of Newfoundland, Attain Physio, and we've seen those guys around, Classics, and it's always good to have chesses, fish and chips on your team, and Avalon Animal Hospital, Stu Stells Realty, and Merch Monkey, Black and McDonald, and Hey Orca, who are media searchers. So we are very, very happy, and thank you very much for your sponsorship of our game and our teams, and means the world to us. We thank Montana's for coming in as the major sponsor in Canada for the Briar. All I can say is keep up that wonderful civic mentality, and if somebody knocks on your door from a junior right up to a Brad Gougeau, let's take a look at sponsoring them. So, Sporty, we're into the sixth end. I think you've been watching what's been happening. Let us know what's going on.
I have, Robin. Just before that, the boys are like NASCAR drivers out there, a lot of sponsorship, but in all seriousness, they went to 5 spiels this year, and they couldn't do that without the strength of their sponsors. So again, just to reiterate what Rob said, thank you for all of your sponsorship. All these teams have a lot of great sponsors. So yeah, we're here in the sixth end, and again, lots of rocks in play, and we've seen that situation set up, Rob, where we've had frozen rocks, top 4, and we have that again. Symonds rock, his blue rock is frozen to a Greg Smith yellow, and we've got the center guard up there. There is a corner guard, and now Greg Smith is going to ask his second, Zach Young, to make a hit. Looks like he's trying to get the roll under that stagger, is what he's calling, Rob.
Yeah, for sure. So it's going to be another aggressive end, lots of rocks in play, and the house is going to be a little tiny house again. Right now, we're down to the 4 foot. So there hasn't been much opportunity this whole game to get around corner guards. Everything has been towards the center. So this is Zach Young now. As they come down, they can see that Shirtliff is on it now, and he's got to try to curl it hard to get it to roll. It looks like it's going to be pretty close to a nose, and it is. Now it's an opportunity. I don't know if Symonds can make that double yet, but it looks like he's happy just to hit it on the nose again.
So Zach did make that nose hit. I was just downstairs, Robin. I can tell you the place is on fire down there. You can cut the electricity with a knife, and we're upstairs here, and there's lots of people up here. I bumped into Zach's dad, Ross. I think he's watching this with bated breath to see if his son can get to a Briar. Ross, of course, has played 3 senior championships.
Yeah, and I was with Ross this year with our team, and the other 2 are behind me, Jeff Cunningham and Glenn Goss, both of whom were part of the broadcast team this year. And to thank those guys. And of course, Jeff Cunningham has got an interest on the other side, as his daughter is with Stacy Curtis. So all the dads are down there, and some granddads, and yeah, my brother Jeff is down there, of course, his son Colin, and the 2 grandkids are down there. So it's burning up here today. This is great.
So 40 is playing the hit and trying to get a long roll. Great effort by Chris Ford, but just didn't quite roll it far enough, Rob.
Yeah, so interesting. Smith is still line 2, and sooner or later, as you always said, Sporty, sooner or later he's got to deal with that. And right now he's I sort of thought last shot was his best chance. He could have made a double and moved that one, but he's being strategic about it. Now he's trying to figure the best the best place. So you can see that one is wide open, and but that staggered up top is sooner or later he's got to deal with that.
He does have to deal
So he's
with
got
that.
to be careful not to get behind that, Sporty.
So, Rob, you mentioned, I guess, your senior team. You not only have a Briar semi-final, but you guys lost the Canadian Seniors final in 2012 with the aforementioned Glenn Goss, Jeff Cunningham, and Gary Tiller.
Yes.
And as you know, all of us were teammates. We played from 2007 to 2009. We played a couple of tankards, me, you, Gary, and Jake. And then you would go on to senior with Glenn and get to a Canadian final. So obviously we know who the weak link on that team was.
No, well, you were just a little too young when we turned 50. Yeah, but you had your shot at it, of course, and represented this year at the seniors. So, welcome to the 50s, and look out now. We're going to be myself and Glenn and Jake. We're all into the Masters, over 60s now. So we got another one to go. But yes, thanks, Sporty. We were runner-up. Just to go back, I mean, Jeff Cunningham and I were runner-up in Canada in the juniors in 1979, and then some 50 years later, 45 years later, we're runner-up now, and we're still playing together. So this is a lifetime sport for sure. So we got Chris Ford now being asked to just come down and cozy into there. He's got that blue one sandwiched. But is it an advantage to Symonds? Can he see it? I can't quite see it from behind him.
Yeah, he's looking to play the run, Rob, I think, because that is pretty well behind cover. If he runs this, that back yellow is gone, obviously. His blue will stay there. Unfortunately, he's running one of the Smith yellow rocks back into that pile. So it is possible after this that if he makes it, there's going to be 2 yellow Smith rocks in the house to 1 Andrew Symonds rock, and Greg may be able to hit the lie 3.
This is important, but it's inside right out of his hand there, and you can see they backed off it because it's just going to be a clear. So not sure what happened there, if Colin got a little inside on it or might have picked up a little something, but took the guard off. And I think all you'll see, Greg, is he'll just keep putting the guard up, because if he puts it up perfectly, Symonds is going to have no choice but to run it in.
Yeah, I think that's the call, Rob. I like this call. I think that's the play. Andrew's running out of rocks in this end. He's only got 2 rocks left. And
It's not going to be a blank, I don't think.
no, he's going to be in tough, too, to get a
one.
deuce or even score for that matter.
Yep, for sure. So Greg's route here was pretty straightforward. He beat Team Tipple, and then he had the one loss he had was to Symonds, and that was when he was up 5-1. Then he beat Skeens, Hancock, McNeil, Lambswood, Walters, Thomas, and Nathan Young. So he played the minimum 8 and took first place, and now he's up 4-2 in the final.
They don't seem too concerned about this, just a light dust, and Zach Shurtleff is going to try and make this curl a little bit at the end, Rob.
Puts it very nicely, I think, on the center line. He acting as if he feels like it curled a little tiny bit too much. You wouldn't need to hit very much of that yellow that's in the house to remove the back one, and I think he's definitely got to play it now. I mean, he doesn't want to be running that yellow back if he doesn't have to.
Agreed, 100%. He is absolutely making a play on this rock. Probably, he's going to move a couple rocks there. So probably a board hack weight, maybe.
Yeah,
Rob,
so
I
if you
think.
look at the screen, you can see that the top yellow that's on the top of that sandwich is just barely touching the center, and you can see the guard is 1/4 on. So that tells you that you can see a little piece of this rock. Not much. It's a very exacting shot, but this is the time to move it.
So big shot here for Andrew Symonds. If he happens to wreck this, Rob, I think you see Greg go right back and throw a guard, and Andrew's going to be in tough. Probably have to draw the button to score 1.
Yep.
So he needs to change around the angles here and make contact with this yellow in the top 8.
So it's in the hands of the sweepers now, and Alex Smith is off and on. Now they want to make sure they cannot touch that guard. So they're sweeping hard to get by the guard. They come by the guard really close. It should be close. And there it comes by, makes contact, drives it back, but not sure. I believe the blue is shot.
It may be shot, Rob. He did roll the shooter. I would like to keep that shooter, I think.
If he's shot rock there though, Sporty, I mean, I don't think Greg can touch that yellow because it would come straight back on it. So as long as he made shot there, he's in pretty good shape.
And you're right, that's his dilemma. I think they believe that the blue is shot rock, Rob. They're actually looking at an in-off here.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the way they're calling this, they do think that blue is shot rock. So I think he's calling to come back down now to his yellow and lie one, and then the force is on. So
yeah, I mean, I think this is the shot. Obviously, a much less riskier shot probably than the in-off. But if he can come down and freeze right to that back rock, I don't think Andrew Symonds is going to be able to do anything other than follow him down and score the one. And mission accomplished then for Greg Smith to get the force.
Yep. And so for Greg here, rock placement is massive because if he stays a little bit outside, it'll give Andrew the fairly straightforward hit and stick for a 2. So we're off and running here as Greg Smith's last rock here in the 6th, trying to make the perfect freeze down on his own yellow. This one looks like it's breaking off the line. You can't afford to touch that top yellow. This is breaking hard.
They're working it hard to get by those top 2 rocks, Rob, and I don't think they're going to get it by.
No. But that little tick there, and that might have taken away a little bit of the house. It's going to force Andrew to go to the other side. But he does have a draw to the 4-foot for a 2. And if there ever was a doubt that was shot, now I think he's ticked it, so there is for sure. So this is this is the biggest shot of the game right now, Sporty. He needs the full 4-foot to tie this game up.
Yeah, this would be a big rock after going down 3-0 early in the game, Rob. Andrew Symonds now has a draw for what we do believe is 2 points. Yep. He's just got to get a piece of the 4-foot.
He's certainly been the Houdini of the week, so expect this to be close. Sweepers are on it right away. I don't know if that was for line or for weight. From up top, they haven't let it down at all, and there's a little weight there, which means that the weight should be close.
I think it's pretty close, Rob. They're on and off now as it comes towards the house.
Can't touch the yellow, but he's got good there. And he comes down and settles into the 4-foot for his... Oh, he's sweeping, but no, he stays there.
And just another big shot by Andrew Symonds, Rob. That evens this game at 4 with 4 ends to play. So that's a big score.
But if they move him, Chris Ford said yes, that is a 2.
So after 6 ends of play in this 2024 Newfoundland and Labrador men's tankard, we are all tied up at 4 with 4 ends to play. We'll be right back in 30 seconds for 7th end action. And welcome back to the 2024 Newfoundland and Labrador Men's Tankard. We are in the 7th end of this championship final, and we have a great game going here. It's Team Andrew Symonds and Team Greg Smith. They are tied at 4 in the broadcast booth today. Steve Sporty Bragg, along with 3-time Newfoundland Tankard champion, Mr. Rob Thomas.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah, we got it. We got everything we were hoping for here, and we do again. We want to take a second and just talk about our juniors, the juniors in this club. But we had, I believe, Sporty, it was 3. It might have even been 4 in the provincials that were actually of junior level. I mean, so we had Parker Tipple, I know Dylan Hancock for sure, and another, but. In the men's, but anyway, the bottom line is everything. The juniors in Newfoundland is alive and well, and we want to throw a big throw out now to our 2 young high school students that are in South Korea right now, Kaylee Locke and Simon Perry. They are playing in the Winter Youth Olympics in South Korea, and playing well. They've beaten Korea now in 9-5 on Saturday, and on Sunday today I guess they beat Hungary 8-5. So they have 3 more. They have Nigeria, Czechia, and Great Britain left, and hopefully we'll see them into a playoff. So guys, I don't know what time of the day and night it is over in South Korea, but if you are listening, you're probably listening to watching the girls, but we wish you all the very best of luck. And then when they come back, Simon and Kaylee, when they both come back, Sporty, they go right directly to the under 18 team event in with the for the Canadian Nationals, and that Simon Perry has, I believe it's Nick Codner, Braden Snow, and Carter Holden on his team, and Kaylee Locke, her team without her actually played here in the in the ladies provincials, so they're getting ready now to go to the under 18. So junior curling in Newfoundland, sir, is alive and well.
Yeah, Rob, Kaylee and Simon are over there in Game 1, I think South Korea, and nice send-off here for them. There was a nice Canadian flag with signatures from all the members of the club. They did a presentation at Family Curling here on Saturday morning. So Simon and Kaylee, if you are listening, everybody here at the St. John's Curling Club, everybody involved in curling in Newfoundland and Canada for that matter, we're all rooting for you. Hoping you can bring home the gold like Nathan Young did back in 2020 in Switzerland. That would be amazing if we had 2 gold medals. So we're all pulling for you to do well in South Korea.
And back to our game here, tie game after 6 ends. So there are a couple of rocks up front, but right now just the one that's in behind, but it's wide open. So Greg is going to play a hit and roll here. So I guess at this point, Sporty, when do they start doing the math on the even ends? And I mean, is there a strategy that comes into play now? Do we blank or try for 2?
Yeah, I think they're doing the math now. Obviously, honestly, Rob, you get in the second half of the game, you're tied. There's 4 ends to go. Scoreboard management is a big piece of this. I think Greg ideally would like to maybe blank 7 and score in the 8th, possibly. There is a stat if you're tied going into the 8th end, I think, and you score, you win like 75 or 80% of the time. So I assure you, both these teams are thinking about that out there on the ice. And we've only got 2 rocks in play in the house here, so the blank is certainly a possibility as we move through this end.
Yep. So you see Symonds now, you can see that they're fairly close together. The indication was he wants to take the yellow one, but then try to tap his other blue to get right to the other side of the house and get as much separation as possible between the 2 rocks. Exciting times here, and just a quick, let's see now first if he makes this one. He's going to make contact. He's got great contact. Now they're going to look to separate the best they can. Not bad. We'll see now if he wants to play. He's not going to take on the double. It's a little too steep. So Greg is going to play the, there you're going to have it. See it, it's a little too steep for him. There you go. And so you'll see the plan now to hit and just roll in behind the blue.
Rob, I knew it was a 12.5 hour time difference in South Korea, but Jamie Korab just texted me and confirmed that. So it's 4:55 in the morning. So hopefully Kaylee and Simon are getting some rest
Getting
and they're
some
not
rest.
watching the broadcast.
Yeah, they better be. Yeah, yeah. That's here. Symonds coach in the back there. Glenn Goss said they better be. So there you go. And it's just a straight hit there for Young, and the stays there. Now you're going to see, you'll see Andrew again. I think he's going to be looking for whatever the best spacing between it is so that they don't get a double.
100%, Rob. Andrew is he wants to just try to find a place in the house where he can spread those two blues apart, and he's really trying to bring the force into play here so that there's no easy kind of double. So he's going to roll this either out to the wing, or he did indicate he might roll it to back 8, back 12 over there. Just got to be careful. Can't roll it out. You got to hold the shooter.
Yep. Colin Thomas, first rock, got to stay. Sweeper's off and on it, so now it's a matter of where they hit the rock and how much separation they can get. And hits, and he doesn't roll very far, and that's probably not the separation they were hoping for.
No, you see right away that Greg is signaling for the double, and he's going to try and make this double, and then the blank is absolutely in play.
Yep, he's not even worried about his shooter here. If he takes out the two blues, he knows he's in control of the end. So Chris Ford, who we know can bring the heat, I highly expect they'll be very close here. Initial call is off. If he stays too far outside, he could jam it, but it would be a tough jam. But, he's just going to get a piece, and he actually did jam it. So now, with that right on the pin, Symonds may decide that this is a chance to steal.
He absolutely he's indicated that. I mean, he's got two options. He can go out to the wing, try and put it on the tee line there and leave no double and try and get the force here, or he can go after the steal as indicated, and that's what they have called, Rob. He's looking at maybe a 3-guard here, which is just tight to the house for those who don't watch a lot of curling, and he is chasing the steal right now.
Well, with the positioning of the rock, and when he jammed that into the top of the button, he knows that Smith can't outdraw that. So this is a good chance here now. So they want to get this over to the center line. They'd like to be directly in front so that if Greg did happen to try a straight back, he could plug it. It's got plenty of weight for a guard. Now you're going to see him try to bend it a bit.
Yeah, they're working to bend it, Rob. They really want to get it over to touch that center line.
So they got it to the center. It's still, I'd say, half or better exposed. So Greg is going to play a bumper weight hit and roll to the side, at which point Andrew will not be able to ignore it and try for the steal.
Yeah, again, the key here, Rob, is to hold that shooter. If you don't want to roll out, because then that affords Andrew Symonds the ability to come right back in behind that center guard and put it in a better place. Colin Thomas is getting ready to, I think, throw. No, he's. So
this is Ford. Yeah, now they're trying to get it to curl. They want it. Like I said, he can't roll out here.
I think he might roll out, Rob.
Yes, he just gets a quarter of it. So that was, don't know if he got a little out or maybe the ice straightened up on him there, but they were actually sweeping it for a minute. So big opportunity here now for Andrew. If he can get right in behind on right where that was, biting the button, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, definitely an opportunity for the force here, and Andrew Symonds has made a lot of rocks in this Newfoundland Tankard, and I fully expect him to be close on this one.
It's a big chance here for Andrew Symonds and his team have made the comeback up back to 4-4 now, and this is his last rock in the 7th, and he has to, or he's trying to come around, get most of the 4 or the button if he can, and be a big force for Greg Smith.
They're working this pretty hard, Rob. It's going to clear the guard by a bit. It's just a matter of the weight right now.
They'd like to be right into the 4. He actually might have overcurled a little bit.
It
Swarty.
may have just overcurled a shade. It's a little more tucked in than the last one was. But Greg still, I think, with a hack sort of board weight, may be able to access that rock, but a good shot nonetheless by
Yes,
Andrew
yeah.
Symonds.
So I think what Greg is looking at now is he just threw this, or he had Chris throw it, and it stayed straight on him. So he's got to adjust the ice a little bit or adjust his weight, because again, now even more so, he doesn't want to roll out, because now Symonds knows exactly how to put it back there.
They're going to have a little further discussion on this, Rob. No, they.
What's going on? Oh, sorry.
So, Rob, there's some interesting development over in the ladies' final. They have stopped the game. Head umpire John Barron has come out on the ice.
Oh,
Looks like
Aaron. No, it looks
Looks like Brooke Godson. I don't know if she's injured or has a problem with her
she's cramping.
shoe or some kind of cramp. I think Julie Devereaux working on her leg. I think Julie might be a nurse, is she?
Yeah, but she's not in this game. So let's jump right back here. We'll keep an eye.
It is her shoe, not an injury, we're told.
So that's why we should be watching our own game.
That's right.
Okay. So we're getting so Greg's got to get by this guard, and he's rubbed the guard. And now if he goes out or not, but he does go right through the ring, so he's actually touched that guard. So now Symonds decides, does he try to come in and lie too, or does he just guard it up completely? But it's a lot of ice. See if he indicates. A lot of the time, Alex Smith will indicate right where he wants it, right there. There you go. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, that was probably the worst result that Greg could have. If you're going to
Absolutely.
clank that guard, you want to move it out of the way and open up that rock in the 4-foot. If Andrew Symonds can come in here and get top 8 foot, the old Christmas tree again, or even come down, even almost frozen to it, Greg Smith has got a real problem, and it's going to be a real tough score for him
sure.
in this 7th end. I said Julie Devereaux, you're right. She's not even on the ice,
Right,
Rob.
yeah,
so I
no,
don't know
that
where
was-
that one came
yeah,
from.
no,
Her
that
sister is on the ice,
Yeah,
though. So
that's right. No,
anyway,
so we'll take a quick look, but that it wasn't an injury; it was a shoe repair. So we got Symonds now. He doesn't want to leave it open, but the line looks pretty good as they start to come in. And now you'll see the sweepers get on it, and they'll try to bend it over as best they can. Anything is good here. Anywhere in the way, it looks like it's coming in nicely, and that is pretty much the perfect spot, I think.
that is a nice shot by Andrew Symonds. He's brought it into just the top 12-foot, and essentially Greg Smith has to draw the button to score 1 in this 7th end.
So we got some big changes here, a big change in momentum as Symonds got his 2 and 6, and now is in a very good spot to steal 1 in the 7th. But we're up to Greg Smith, and we know he's got, he makes the big shots, but this certainly qualifies as one of the biggest of the year for him right now. This is uncannily similar to their round robin game where Smith got ahead and Symonds came back and started just stealing 1 at a time. So it's in the sweeper's hands now, and he needs the actual 1 foot. He needs the button. So they got to be careful now. All they're watching for is the weight. The line looks like it's good.
You can't overcurl too, Rob, and it doesn't look like that's going to be an issue. You can't
Actually,
clank on
now
that
they're
top one,
backing
but
off, and this looks like
looks
it
a
might
bit
be a
hot.
little heavy.
Yeah, it does look a little heavy.
And it is. So this is another steal of 1 here for Andrew Symonds. Patience is a virtue, Andrew, and he's been doing this all week. So he is now, for the first time in this game, in the lead. It is 5-4 for Team Symonds over Smith, and it's after 7 ends. We'll be right back with the 8th end to play.
Welcome back. We're broadcasting live from the St. John's Curling Club, the Remax Center. It is the final of the 2024 Newfoundland and Labrador Men's Tankard. We are getting down to crunch time. It is the 8th end of this championship game, and currently Team Andrew Symonds leads Team Greg Smith 5-4. Greg does have the hammer here in the 8th end. In the broadcast booth today, Steve Sporty Bragg, along with 3-time Newfoundland Tankard champ Rob Thomas.
Thanks, Sporty. Yeah, we've been watching Smith do this all week. He, even if he gets down, they stay focused, and they work their way back. As we mentioned, I mean, and I asked him, I said, are the horses there? Because they've played a lot of games as compared to Greg's 8 games. I mean, these guys had to come through, and as he said in the interview, after their 4th game to Nathan Young, they pretty much had to run the table, and they beat Skeens and Tipple and Dave Thomas, and that put him into a tiebreaker, which was last night, and that was a crazy game that ended with a triple takeout for him, and he won that up at 9 o'clock this morning, and here they are in the final. So it seems to be an adrenaline thing. That
Yes, absolutely.
they're not giving up now, Sporty.
We talked about it in the first end that they are riding the wave right now, Rob, of this hot streak. And they've started this 8th end very well. Alex Smith, the lead, put his first rock right in the top 4 foot. Of course, Greg went out and put the corner guard up, and he's going after the deuce. And then a nice guard on the center line, directly on the center line by Alex Smith. And Greg is now going to try to utilize that corner guard and get his lead, Zach Shortlift, to come behind. And it looks pretty good, Rob. Just may need to bend it at the end, but it looks like a pretty good curling rock.
So classic setup here, as Symonds has got his rocks where he wants them in the steel position, and Smith got his in the power play position. So this is a good strategic end. It'll be it should be a great one to watch. Just a reminder, of course, the winner of this heading to the inaugural Montana's Briar, Montana, the new sponsor, and that will be at the Brant Center in Regina, Saskatchewan, March 1st to 10th, where this team will join Brad Gougeau as Team Canada and will play for the Montana Cup.
And that place is going to be jumping. I guarantee you're in the hotbed of curling out there in Regina, Saskatchewan. So both these teams want to be there because that is going to be quite the event.
For sure. So you got your double guard put up now. Stephen Trickett places that perfectly up on the in the 3 position, or the 2 position, or even a 1, and that's what he wanted. So now you're going to have Greg try to run some guards here. I guess, Sporty, that real high one. I don't know. I think he might be. I don't know if he's trying to run that one that he's sitting next to, or. Because that's a lot of ice for a double peel.
I think he's just playing the straight peel on that top, or on that
one,
3 guard there, Rob. He's not even bothering with the high guard for now, anyways.
And this is outside a little bit. I don't know if this is going to make contact. We're going to watch that. He's skimming by. Oh, but he doesn't even get the back one. So that's a straight miss there for Zach Young. So now you get okay. Now Andrew's going to walk up and get rid of Smith's guard.
Yeah, Andrew could have got really aggressive, I guess, Rob, and drawn in behind those 2 center guards to lie 2. But he's opted for the peel on the corner guard. Really wants to limit Greg to a score of 1 at most in this end if he can.
Yep, and he makes good contact, and Alex is going to take that right over on the other side because they don't want anything in play at all. So that's pretty much out of play there.
I think Alex was slowing it down with his sweep in there. I can say that because he was a teammate of mine this year.
Yeah. He's of course he would be the elder statement. I think out on the ice today. I don't know.
He is. He would be the oldest on the ice for sure. Actually, Alex. Fun fact: in 1985, played in the Canadian Junior here.
Yes, when it was here.
At the Remax Center. He represented Newfoundland with Keith Casey, Ian Kerr, and the aforementioned Ken Ellis.
Nice.
And so He's got fond memories of playing some championship curling here. And in that 85 junior, the winner was a guy who went on to have a pretty good career, Mr. Kevin Merton.
That's right. I was driving a BC team actually myself that week, and had a lot of fun. That was a great week here for sure. Yeah, and Kevin Martin, that's right, ended up with hair. Came out of here. Yeah, and then like you said, has been a fixture in Canadian curling ever since. So yeah, that's good, and that's where Alex Smith started, hey?
It was, and he's gone on. Obviously, he's had 2 seniors and the one Briar appearance that we mentioned, and he has had a mixed as well. So a few jackets, a few Newfoundland jackets for Alex in the closet, but he absolutely would love to get this 2024 jacket
Yes,
to send
you know,
him to
for sure.
Regina.
Yep. So you got Colin Thomas now, pretty straightforward hit here, and he'd probably like to get a little roll. Okay, he stays right there. So now Greg will have a look at the double.
He indicated the double initially.
Now they're thinking, yeah.
It's fairly flat, Rob, and he seems like, I don't know if he's calling just to roll over by there, or he thinks he can make the double, but it is fairly flat. Of course, you do have Chris Ford throwing it for you, which is a great option because of the heat that he can bring. But now they're also contemplating to run this back, Rob, and see if they can get rid of that guard and get rid of that rock that's on the top forefoot. And I think that's the call that they've made.
Yeah, that's the new call, yeah. So they want to, I guess he wants to make sure that there's something on the forefoot for him to, or a way in for his last rock. So this will be close. He's coming up. He's got the hit, and he's got the run back, and he takes out the one on the forefoot. So it's a great shot there. You'll see that, Symonds will just stand up there and say, put it back there. Now, the big difference is if he does it again the next time, now he's running his own rock in.
That's a good point, Rob. Yeah, I mean, it was hard to get it all on that shot. I mean, he did get rid of the guard, and he obviously got rid of the one in the top forefoot, which was very important. But as you say, his own shooter is still out there. So if Colin Thomas makes this perfect draw, then you probably will see Chris Ford go back and play that exact same shot.
So Colin's rock on the way now. I see the sweepers are off and on it. It seems to have lots of line there. So now they start working it to make sure they get it back as far as they can.
Rob, I can't believe it's 8 ends, and I haven't mentioned the NFL championship games here. Colin Thomas, he was a Carolina Panthers fan, but he was a fan because of Christian McCaffrey, and of course he's moved to the 49ers. So Colin will be watching after this game one way or another and hoping his 49ers can pull out the victory and get to the Super Bowl.
There you go. He'll hoping to have a few happy beers to watch it. Good for them. I'm on the not a big football fan. I'm totally on the Detroit underdog train. So I don't know how far that's going to go, but I have a different team every year.
I'm with you, man. My Steelers are gone, so
Your
I'm
Steelers
riding
are gone,
the Detroit Lions underdog story.
Yeah. Okay,
Anyway.
Ford trying to come in off of that one. Makes the hit and stays right there.
Would have liked to get the roll. Andrew's going to be able to hit and lie too now. And with only 2 rocks left, in order to get a deuce here, it's going to be a skip's deuce for Greg Smith. He's going to have to make 2 real good shots.
I didn't see the indication as if he's trying to. He's far enough above the tee line that he can actually roll behind that center. But let's see.
First order of business is to make it go away. Of course, if he doesn't hold the shooter, Rob, that Andrew's rocking the top 12. That's up there pretty high. There's a stagger on that center guard. Greg would be able to come in behind this. So I think he wants to, obviously has to hold the shooter, and I'm not sure if he's trying the roll in behind the center.
He had a little debris there up on the head. You couldn't quite see it there, but he had to get up and clean that off. But now the rock is on its way. Like you say, the first thing, this didn't look outside to me at all, Sporty. You can see there was Trickett working very hard to keep this straight.
This is really going hard, Rob. They're working it, I think, to get a piece of this thing.
And a piece is what he got, Sporty. So that got inside on him, or it was a little quick move. He's cleaning the ice up there, but that did make a quick move on him. There's no doubt. So now I guess advantage back to skipper Greg, and to try to generate that skipper's deuce.
And the deuce is an option now. Greg has the opportunity to come in behind that yellow guard and the one that we talked about in the top 12 foot. He's probably looking to go top 4. Yeah, I think that's the call where Chris Ford is indicating. And if he puts it there, the 2 is definitely in play.
Greg Smith, first rock here in the 8th end of this Newfoundland final for the men's curling. Winner goes to the Briar. So Greg wants to come around that guard and get nestled in somewhere to the 4 foot, which is going to put a lot of pressure on Symonds. Sweepers are both working it hard. I think they're working both weight and line. It looks like he's got to get by that first guard first.
I don't know if it's going to get by, Rob.
And it didn't get
doesn't.
by. So now they try to pull it in. So that didn't get where they wanted. So now they got the decision here. We're watching both ice. If we get a little break, maybe we can. Can we switch that over? This is a very, very hard shot right now for Brooke Goslin. If she doesn't make, so this is the ladies' final. If she doesn't make that draw into the 4 foot, this is going to be game over for the girls.
Yeah, there's a lot of yellow in that house, Rob.
There's
Looks
a
like
whole lot of
yellow is
yellow.
lying 4, and Stacy is already up 9 to 5.
This has got to move past there, and it's got to stop in a hurry. So it's continuing. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 more, and I think you're going to see that Stacy Curtis and her team are going to the Scott in Calgary. This is a big game for Stacy. They ended in 8 ends. You'll see the girls now. I'm sure you'll see some emotion in a second here as the girls and Brooke and her team. Heartbreak, of course, but big win for Stacy Curtis, Erica Curtis, Julie Hines, Camille Burt, Jessica Wiseman, and of course their coach Eugene Trickett will be traveling to Calgary for the Scott Tournament of Hearts, or the Scotties, and congratulations, the tears are falling there, so that's great to see for their team.
That's the emotion I talked about, Rob. That's good stuff over there. Jess Wiseman, pretty much in tears, and she's had some January. A couple of weeks ago, she just won the mixed doubles out in Port aux Basques.
Yes,
so
and
fantastic stuff. Congratulations to Stacy Curtis and her team. I believe did we say the Scotties this year's in Calgary? I believe
in Calgary, Alberta. That's
so
right. Yep.
Look forward to watching Stacy and team up there. Congratulations.
And that one comes first now. That's in February, so they're only going to have 2 or 3 weeks to get ready for it. So back here now, we got Andrew Symonds has decided he's going to hit this and probably stay right there. And if he does, well, maybe try to get a little roll, but he wants to be line 2 to make sure he's got some type of a force. So they're sweeping it hard for line. He makes the hit. He rolls in behind, and that's a super shot. Now, I don't think you'll ever see Greg take that raised double on for the blank, but nope, because he's got his broom down. He's going down for the draw for the force. So mission accomplished here for Team Symonds.
Yeah, Greg now has to, as you say, he has to draw and pretty much get full 8 and then some to score here. And if he can make it, it'll be a 5-5 tie after 8 ends, but he's got to make it.
Make it. Yep. And just for those viewers, for the ladies' side, that Scotties is actually February the 16th to the 26th, and it is in Calgary. So good luck to Stacy and team. Here's Greg Smith, his last rock in the 8th, down 1.
And the sweepers got to make sure they keep a broom on this, but they, right out of his hand, Rob, started working it really hard, and the 2 Zacks have not left this rock at all.
I don't think there's any line problems. This is all about weight.
I think it's all about weight, and they're going to really have to work this hard, I think, to get it there, Rob.
Whole bunch of guys jumping in there. He's got to get to the
It's curling hard.
And if it ticks that and it touches that guard, it doesn't get in for second.
I don't think
It
so,
didn't.
Rob.
That's
I
a
think it
steal.
might be a steal of 2.
It's a steal of 2 for Andrew Symonds. What a big shot. What a big turn of events here. So Andrew now with 2 goes up 7-4 after 8 ends. Smith has last rock, but this is going to be a hard one to shake.
Welcome back. We are broadcasting live from the Remax Center, the St. John's Curling Club. It's the 2024 Men's Newfoundland and Labrador Provincial Curling Championships, the Tankard. And just an interesting turn of events in our championship game here. Andrew Symonds and team just had a steal of 2 in the 8th end and now lead this championship final over Greg Smith 8-5. In the broadcast booth today, Steve Sporty Bragg along with Rob Thomas.
Thanks, Sporty. Yeah, this is so reminiscent of that the round robin game. But after 5, of course, Greg was up 5-1. This time he was up 3-0, and Symonds very patient. Got his 2, gave up 1, got his 2 to tie the game. That's the classic. But then the steal of 1 in 7 was huge, and now even bigger. A steal of 2 in 8 puts him up 3 points. 2 ends left to play. Strap in, people. This is going to be some finish. You're going to see now if Andrew can keep this clean. But Greg Smith is going to do everything in his power. He's not given up yet.
Yeah, Greg is. He's got to get aggressive here, Rob. I mean, there is no tomorrow, right? There's only 2 ends left. At a minimum, he'd love to get a deuce.
Has to get a deuce, I think.
Work it, take it one piece at a time, get your deuce, and then go after the steal in 10. So he really wants to get a score or 2 here at a minimum.
So he's calling Alex to come right in here. He doesn't need anything up front, so he'd like to see this right up to it, frozen to it ideally, but 2 in the house, and Greg will still have to ignore them for now and decide if he wants 2 guards. And there's the indication. He wants his 2 guards. It's in the free guard zone, so he knows that the other team can't touch him. So he needs staggered guards now that he can start to work with. But good start for Symonds, too, with those 2 in the top and frozen. So it's going to take 2 shots to remove them.
And the first was a nice corner from Zach Shurtliff, maybe a little higher than he wanted. But now they're going to try to get the double corner guard. And they're going to have to work this hard to get it by.
Little tick. I mean, he's got his 2 guards. He doesn't have them the way he'd like to be the other angles. But there's 2 corners up, and now Symonds. I didn't see the call, but I'm assuming he wanted it in the 12 or deeper. I don't think he wants anything up front.
So, Rob, it's a privilege for us to be able to broadcast this final, and there's people watching. I get messages from all across Canada from curling friends and the like. I just got a message from Scotty Davidge. Of course, Scott curls out of the Gander Curling Club, played a number of provincial championships, and he's sending me pictures. He's in Punta Cana. So the Newfoundland Tankard right now is being watched in Punta Cana. And thanks for the pictures, Scotty. It's about -20 here. But glad you're watching. glad you're enjoying the broadcast. He said to say hi to you, Rob, and great that we're able to broadcast this to a number of viewers all over the world.
Absolutely. And Scotty, one of the good guys, man. I'd trade places with you right now, that's for sure. But I know I've got all my good friends, known as the lunch cases, and I know Jeff is watching in BC. I know Mark is watching out in Saskatchewan, and really probably going to attend the Briar. And Mark Brophy, who would be in Nova Scotia. So we are definitely coast to coast, and just been so much fun. And while they're discussing there, let's throw out this stuff doesn't just happen. I mean, it's broadcasted live, and we've had a great team. We've had Trevor Bartlett would be in control here. We're working with Kevin Foley today, and when you see the pictures change and the rock clock and all that, that's all happening because of these guys in behind. Anthony Paul designed the inserts, and Emily Neary and Tim Healy have been around, and this has just been a fantastic group to work with, and we couldn't be happier broadcasting our product out. Like I said, Sporty, right now around the world. Let's just say it, around the world.
Yeah, I echo that sentiment, Rob. I mean, I had the game on this morning home on my big screen and listening to the commentary, listening to Jake and Andrew, and looking at the pictures and the transition of the camera. It's great stuff. So thanks to all the crew for a wonderful, wonderful job this week.
And live back here at the action, it's setting up pretty good for Symonds now. So he's more interested in getting rid of these corner guards than anything else. He is lying 3. 2 of them are above the tee line, which is always a good thing when you're, when you haven't got last rock. So he's asking his second now, Stephen Trickett, to. It looks like he's a little inside on this peel. Oh, he's jammed that peel. Oh, okay, no, he knows the peel, so that one is still in play, but he did manage to escape not jamming it back into the house.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Steve that he plugged that. So the good news for Greg Smith here is that there's 2 corner guards up there. Although Andrew Symonds' rocks are both in the top 8, there are rocks in play. And when you're trying to generate offense, Rob, you need to have rocks in play. I think they're going to play this yellow maybe just with a gentle weight back onto those 2 blues, or are they trying to split the yellows?
It was supposed to be a split, Sporty. Looks like as this one comes over the center line, it's going to be more like a promotion, but we'll see if they can keep it straight.
If they could punch it behind that corner guard, it'd be a great shot, I think.
And they have done exactly that, Sporty. So that is buried deep behind that corner. So right now you've got... not sure who'll be second, but right now certainly Symonds is lying 1, and all he's concerned about now is taking off that corner guard. For Symonds here, it's all about a 1 max, give up a 2. He just doesn't want to leave rocks up front and try to give him something for a 3. So he's asking Colin Thomas now with his first rock just to take off that guard. And it looks like it's fine, so the peel is made. That exposes the yellow one. And now Greg has to start to manipulate to see how he can set up to get a 2.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice shot by Zach Young to push that behind the corner guard, and Colin Thompkins did what he was asked to do in terms of that peel. I think at some point soon, like you said, Rob, Greg has to start moving those 2 blues around that are in the top 8 foot, and that's what they're looking at to try and move them around. I guess the other call that Greg is looking at is splitting those yellows, pushing the yellow in behind the corner and then rolling under those 2 staggered blues.
Not bad.
That's another option that they are considering.
Yep, and that would seem to be, as he's showing there, he wants to split that one over there, and that one goes in there. So thank you, Greg, for showing us what we needed to see. So that's the call.
If he makes this, it's going to make for an interesting last few rocks in this end. So
if he ever gets a yellow underneath those staggered blues, Symonds is going to have a hard time removing them.
So this is the third for Greg Smith's team, Chris Ford, and he is trying this split to get a rock in behind those two staggered rocks and push that yellow in behind the corner. Chris actually was on that team in 2011 that won the Canadian University Championships with your
Colin.
nephew,
Yeah, that's right.
Colin. It was Chris and Colin, Spencer Wicks, and Corey Shue.
That's right. And yes, now this one seemed to have stayed off on a bad line and just chips it over. And now he's got some real problems. I think you'll see Symonds just stand up here now and get rid of that yellow, roll in there like he's touching there. And that will put Smith in a world of hurt.
Yeah, if this roll is made, Rob, Greg Smith is in big, big trouble. He's going to be facing 4, and the rock, the shooter, is going to be in behind that stagger. So if this shot can be made, they're going to put a ton of pressure on Greg Smith.
Colin Thomas, big shot. He definitely doesn't want to stay out there. He wants to roll somewhere because he doesn't want to give Greg that roll. But he did stay there, so Greg will have a look at something now. He'll have a hit and a roll in. Could get him out of trouble. This is a big shot now for Chris Ford. I don't know how they're doing it, Sporty. My stomach's in knots here. I feel like I'm playing back in 1987 again here.
It is, Rob, and I don't know if he's playing the hit. I think he might just be playing the pure cold draw right through that hole.
Maybe tick the blue or something.
Maybe tick the blue on the way through, but I don't think the hit was a call. I think it is a draw. Get in the hole, get behind that stagger, and then there's a good chance that Greg might be able to score a 2 in this end. But we're in the 9th end. The sand is running through the hourglass, so Chris Ford has to make this curling shot.
So here we go again. Now, for some reason, Chris's first one stayed way out there, and this one looks like it's staying out. You see Trickett now on the outside trying like crazy to curl this, but it's just not moving. So now he's tapped that one totally in behind cover. So now I think again here, I'm predicting a timeout here any second because there's a couple of choices, and this is game time.
Yeah, that's a really unfortunate break for Chris Ford pushing that rock.
Stayed out there, yeah.
He did, Rob. I don't know if he got him going a little bit or if there's a bit of a straight spot there, but Andrew Symonds now can really put the hammer down on this game with this rock.
This is big. This is a big part of this game, and you want to make the right call. I think what I'd be concerned about, knowing Greg's expertise on hits and angles, I'd be wanting to get rid of that yellow because he'll use that to get in there somehow. So Smith, even if he rolls out here, I think he's got to get rid of that yellow.
And you talked about when you played those interviews from the curlers earlier in the broadcast, and Andrew Symonds and Greg Smith, the respect that they have for one another. Andrew Symonds is looking at that yellow rock, like you said, and he doesn't want Greg Smith to have any part of that because he's seen too many shots by Greg Smith made with that weight, the run backs or the in-offs or whatever the case might be. So this is pure respect for Greg Smith on this call from Andrew Symonds.
I mean, he could come around that yellow again, but I think it's, they both mentioned they don't want to leave the other a big shot. So now he's going to want to roll somewhere. He'd like to get out of there, but by hitting that now, he's that much higher again. And now, Greg is changing gears completely here. He thinks that on the intern side, he thinks if he just gets by that one that you can see biting the top board, he thinks he can probably get right on the button. So he changed for Symonds taking that yellow, even though he stayed there, he changed the angles enough that now Greg thinks that that's a little too steep for him to make that.
So this is a
big shot.
Are they reconsidering this, Rob? I think they might even call a timeout here and talk about this a little further. While they're talking about it, I I got a message from Stevie Rutledge who said he's enjoying the broadcast, former teammate of mine. And Alex Smith's brother, Damien, who's in Ontario.
yeah.
I played with Damien in junior. He said he's really enjoying the broadcast. So, guys, thanks for the comments. We really appreciate it. So, Rob, on this particular shot, the draw is an option for Greg. Are they looking at the potential some sort of in-off? Are they looking at the draw the other side? I don't know what
Does- I'm wondering, Sporty, is there, I mean, any good in that yellow that we see there at the top of our screen, which is outside the rings, but can Greg even drive that in and get rid of the 2 blues, open up that, because he's got to score 1. I mean, there's your timeout. Oh, I thought it was already called. So this will bring Leslie Ann Walsh out on the ice. And they'll talk a little bit, like I say, I mean, this is, you're dealing with the whole game here now. Even a steal of 1 here would be almost irreachable for Smith. So
it would be a tough position. He has to score, like you
he has
said,
to score.
Rob.
He has to be the next on the scoreboard.
If he can get 1, he then
he's
needs to
still in
steal
it,
a
yeah.
2, but you get 2 center guards and you never know. But he cannot give up a point here. Even like you said, if he gives up a steal of 1, he's down 4 coming home, and that's an unenviable position and going to be really difficult to win this game. So he's got to figure out a way where he scores at least 1 in this end.
Yep.
Rob,
No,
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, Greg, you see him out there at the airport if you're ever traveling. He works at the Yellow Belly out there. But Greg has had some political aspirations.
Yes.
He ran for city council in 2021 at large. He didn't get elected, but he is going to take another run at it. He is running in the by-election, from what I understand, in Ward 4 on March 12th.
That's right. And, good luck. I'm for Greg. Yeah, I mean, we're not allowed to be political here, but, it's a small town and we know him well and we know his work ethic. And, good for Greg. He's a big part of the community, huge part of the curling community. He's, he loves spending time with the kids and, of course, his own team like that. And he works very hard at it. So I got a lot of respect. So it looks like they did come to that, the shot that I was talking about. So they're going to run the yellow into the 2 blues, try to obviously get rid of those and stay there somewhere. And even if he rolls to the open side, it gives him some access into the 4-foot.
Yeah,
So first thing they got to do is, and you can see them, they're sweeping hard for line. They got to keep this on line, just drive it straight back. Looks like he gets it. He drives. Okay. He came back and.
So he unlocked the
the one
stagger, Rob, up top. He took one of those 2 that were staggered. He took the rock off the 4-foot. So not a bad result. He's opened it up a bit. The whole the one side of the sheet is fully accessible at this point in time, and none of Symonds' rocks are in the 4-foot. At least yet. They are looking to coming in. So
Listen,
it's a
I
pretty
saw-
good shot by Greg Smith.
I just saw Alex point right to the 4-foot. To me, that's a little bit of greedy gopher guts, because right now you don't have to score. If you put that one now on the top of the 8-foot, you choke off that draw and make Greg go, and it's still a draw for 1. But I mean, if he makes it, perfect. If he comes deep, well, he's giving away the end. But his call, and it's he's been making these not all afternoon, but after the second end. Once he started coming back on the comeback trail, he hasn't missed very much. So this is a as we would said in the old days, a go for the throat shot here.
Yeah, this is Andrew Symonds is trying to win the game right now, because if he makes this shot, Greg is going to have a real tough time scoring 1. So
this one is picked. Yeah, this rock picked, and you could see the sweepers. They've just jumped. They jumped and then it was gone. You can probably see Andrew up in the high and Zach there cleaning up where it was picked. So, and just a real bad break for Andrew Symonds.
it is, and now Greg has the opportunity
He's
because
got
of that
the free
great
draw
first
now.
rock.
Yep.
He's opened up the 4-foot for himself and needs pretty much full 8 to score one, and you never know. You get to that 10th end, and just to pick up on what you were talking about, Greg, giving back to the young curlers. My daughter took some. Greg taught my daughter in curling for a year or two, and he's so good with the kids
good, yeah.
and gave a lot of time to the junior curling. So hats off to him for his involvement in junior
my
curling.
granddaughter McKinley also, and I know that the kids love to be around him. So here it is, Greg's last rock here in 9. He's got to make a draw to the 8-foot and to pick up a 1. Sweepers are sweeping it hard, but they're off and on, and it seems like it's coming over the hog line. Well, it's curling hard.
They're giving it a gentle dust now, and you see the broom go in the air. So
Right on the pin.
great shot by Greg Smith, puts it right on the lid, Rob.
Yep.
So after 9 ends of play in this 2024 Newfoundland Men's Tankard Final, the score is Team Andrew Symonds 7. Team Greg Smith 5. Greg will have to steal 2 and 10 to take this to an extra end. We'll take a break for 30 seconds and we'll be right back.
Hi, and welcome back. We are live at the 2024 Men's Provincial Curling Final. We've been watching a back and forth game. It started all Greg Smith, but then all of a sudden, with a couple of steals, Andrew Symonds has taken a lead, and he is now up 2, coming home with last rock. We're going to show you every rock this end and try to stay with you to see if Greg can set up his guard. Sporty, he got the first one. He's got his 1, and I guess the next one will be 3. I'm not sure what Symonds is doing. Some would throw it through, but this isn't. This is a come around.
Yeah, he is coming around. I mean, this shows the importance of lead rocks here in his 10th end. For Zach Shurtleff has to get 2 guards up, and he throws a perfect 1, as you said, Rob. The next one will be for sure a 3. Symonds is coming in here now. Doesn't want to slip behind the tee line with this, so they haven't laid a broom to it. That's a good shot by Alex Smith, and you see right away Greg indicate for the 3 guard, and if Zach can get it in that 3 position, it's game on in this 10th end.
Yeah. That's interesting to me. I don't know. I probably would have played to the open side, but I guess what Andrew was saying, if you're going to steal 3, you're going to steal them all right in the right in the 4-foot. So this is that's an interesting start for Symonds. In behind, got to get
working
by.
this hard, I think, for weight, Rob. They want to get it. They want to get some separation between those guards. They got to take this as far as they can.
Yep. And it makes a big move at the end. So they're right on the center line, probably not as far apart as he would have liked them to be, because that is a fairly straightforward double peel for a Trickett or a Thomas. So anyway, you're seeing Andrew be very aggressive here, and he's coming right back in again. And Alex just threw it, so you can depend on this one being real close to exactly the same. Well, that's as good as, if that's what Andrew Symonds wanted to play, he's just made those 2 perfectly.
He has. Now we've got those 2 center guards, and I think Greg is just going to come down and tap those. There's going to be a bit of traffic in the 4-foot with those couple of center guards, so it's going to make for an interesting finish here in this 2024 Tankard Final.
Yeah, not what I'd do, but I'm not out there. And so now it's Smith going to try to create the Great Wall back there. Zach Young, his first shot, 10th end. Not a lot of weight, Sporty.
No, they do, and it seems like it has to move a lot, Rob. They're going to get, they're off it now. I don't know if it's going to curl quite enough, Rob. Might just bounce off, and it does.
So now you'll see Symonds ignore that, and he'll ask his second now to try to make a double peel.
And if Steve Trickett can make this double peel, then Andrew Symonds is in a very good position.
Very good position.
In this 10th end.
Don't think they don't want this to come straight back. He's going to want an angle. He's going to want to hit that top one on the center line side. Steven throw a big weight. I'm watching it from above. He got right out to it. This will be close.
Colin's been working it the whole way for line.
1, 2. He's made the double peel, and he's rolled a little bit off the center line. So that's as good as he could have made it.
You're right, Rob. It was tough to make that double peel and not leave that shooter there because those rocks were almost directly
close,
behind one another, or the second one's right behind the first one. So good shot by Steve Trickett.
Quick shout out to, again, I know you mentioned Harold Sporty, but the ice making team here in the St. John's Curling Club Remax Center. Harold Walters with Evan Kearley and Nathan Locke. And you had Harold and Evan playing in this, so they were playing their games and then going out, shaving the ice, pebbling the ice. So yeoman's task, guys. Fantastic work, and the teams really appreciate it.
Absolutely. From talking to all the curlers this week, Rob, they've been saying draws are like 15 and a half, 16 seconds between hog to hog, which if you're not familiar with the timing system at home, that is very fast ice.
Yep.
So
we saw it in the early draws that there was a lot of rocks going to the back of the house while they were adjusting. So they did exactly what they wanted. And talking about exactly what you wanted, this is what Greg called for Zach now. So he's made his double guard again. And now these are separated enough that it would be hard to clear all three.
Yeah, so Steve is going to play just at a minimum, get that top blue off. I don't think he's going to take on the double peel. There's a fair bit of separation there. Yeah. Just wants to limit the number of guards. I just got notified by one of our technical producers, Tim Healy, that we've got viewers today, Rob, from the United States, Japan, Mexico, and South Korea. So we have gone global, my friend.
Well, these guys are putting out a great product, and we got a great product on the ice. We've had a fantastic week of curling. So glad you're joining in from wherever you are. This has been our pleasure to bring this to you. So you got now the lead, Shirtcliffe, is coming up, and they're discussing now. We got to start placing rocks somewhere. So it's discussion time now. It's crunch time. You can see there, if we throw that, thank you. We got the two rocks, the two blue rocks that are 1 and 2, and they're hard to remove because you can see that guard up top. So the inside of that top rock is covered. So it's going to take 2 rocks to get rid of them, and they got to score for two at a minimum of their 4 rocks they got left.
I think what they're talking about, Rob, sorry to jump in here, they're talking about, maybe just a heavy draw, come down, tap that top blue, and remain dead frozen to it. Mm-hmm. So it'd be in a good spot, dead frozen, and push that blue back a little bit. And then maybe there's an option later in the end to hit that yellow or whatever the case might be. But I think they need to unlock that soon.
Yeah. And
if they're going to try and score too.
I think if they do unlock it, and I agree 100% they have to, I think they got to move that second blue back far enough that the yellow becomes second shot. You just don't want to have to deal with that again with another shot. So I think the call was made. I believe it is what we talked about, Sporty, is it? Or
yeah, it looks like from that ice that Chris Ford has got, it's going to be, maybe a back ring, back 8, back 12 sort of weight, I think. Maybe even more, though. Maybe it's maybe they're playing a hack waiter.
This one is curling real fast. I'm not sure if this might have picked Sporty or what, but this is unusual movement there.
They are calling the audible, Rob, to try and tap that guard.
Yeah,
which goes over in front of the Blues now.
Not that's if that was a pick, that's a very, very bad break for Chris. But it looked inside right away and then just kept going. At this point now, I think
they're having the discussion as to whether they should make a play on that. you got to be careful. You'd never want to hit that yellow and hit it on the nose and drive it back on your blues there. So they're going to have a further discussion about this, Rob.
I don't know at this point. Do you just take that other third shot out of there? And so big timeout here now for Team Andrew Symonds as they try to negotiate how to finish this one off. They are up 2, and they do have last rock, and there's a lot of rocks in play, but there's still a couple of yellows around, a couple of the Greg Smith rocks that they have to be concerned with.
And Dave Noftel is going to come out, their 5th man, and have a discussion about this as well. Of course, Dave was a 5th man for 2 Briars, as I mentioned, and he played in one. He actually played in 2008 with Bragg. Brad and Mark Nichols and Chris Shilley in 2008. So that was the one Briar that Dave did play. So nice to have a guy like that with a wealth of experience to come out and get another opinion on what they should play on this shot.
For sure. This is an important shot, and it's going to take the whole team to figure it out. And everybody's got to be on the same page here. You got to know and what you want and make sure you got it. There you go. So decision made. People walking apart there, and we'll see if Andrew gives us an idea here.
I don't know if they're going to make a play on that top yellow, Rob.
Yep.
I think they are.
Yep, they are. Yep.
They are.
So this looks like it'd be obviously just a clean peel. They won't try to do anything behind it. So as soon as he's got a little piece of it, they're going to be sweeping.
Just rip that out of there. Straight peel, make it go away, and then Greg's got a decision to make.
Wow, this is a little adrenaline in this one for Colin, as this is coming at 100 miles an hour. Only needs to touch it, and he makes contact, and so shot called and made, and we'll see now what Greg decides. But he has to make a play on these at this point.
Yeah, he threw a lot of heat on that. I assure you that wasn't 15 and a half or 16 seconds from hog to hog. So nice shot by Colin Thomas. And now Chris Ford, he's going to try the exact same thing that they tried on his last rock. Greg, is he? Or Rob, is he?
And to me, that looked like they were trying to draw around that.
He's playing about a board weight, control weight. They're actually going to play
A little tap and roll.
Yeah. And they're hammering it to make it curl, Rob. Zach Shortliff is on this the entire way as it comes in that house here.
Makes contact now. This has got to stay in the rings, and it does. So, it's good shot that it's there, but advantage is still with Symonds without anything blocking up the 4-foot on him. At this point, he may try to get rid of that other one that's there.
It is quite possible, given the fact that stayed in the house, if they trade some hits here, it's possible that Greg could make Andrew go back to the hack on his last rock and face 2, and maybe have to make a hit. It likely might be an open hit, but that is a possibility the way those rocks are lined up right now.
I can promise you in their huddle, the Greg Smith huddle before this end, the goal, make Symonds throw his last rock. That's anything can happen. I mean, you just don't know in this game. I mean, not to bring back an old skeleton, but Colin Thomas a few years back had a draw to win, and it made him throw his last rock, and it went through. So he's thinking here now. He wants to make this. He wants to get back in here. So here we go with the hit. It's Collins let it go. You've got keeping it clean there now, so it looks like it's in good shape. Makes contact.
It is a nice shot. Is it going to stick around for second, Rob? No, it's not second shot. It is third shot. And, you mentioned Colin losing that draw. I played the 2011 national semifinal at the Canadian Clubs with our dear friend Paul Harvey.
Yes,
and we were in the semi. We scored 3 in the 7th end to go up 6-4. And on Herv's last rock, he picked. and we lost 7-6, gave up 3 in the 8th. So
Yikes.
that shot still haunts me. And
Yep.
we don't want to. We hope there's not a pick or anything like that. But anything
Yep.
can happen
Yep.
in this game,
And,
unfortunately.
yep.
If you're playing competitive curling,
Yep.
you got to take the good with the bad.
And somewhere in the depths of Colin's head right now, he's thinking about that, and this would be a chance to. And one thing, Sporty, you did mention the Canadian Club Championships. Of course, we haven't mentioned that Symonds won that. Yeah.
He did. He won in 2015 at the Hunt Club with Mark Healy, Corey Ewert, and Keith Jewer. And then he went back in 2017. Dave Naftel was on that team in place of Corey Ewert. And I think he lost the semifinal that year.
Yeah, so lots and lots of experience, lots of nationals. Okay, so here's Greg's shot. His first shot. Here we are in the 10th end. He needs to stay and play. Looks like he's just playing the straight draw. This has got to be perfectly placed for him. Calling him on now to keep going. So nicely placed rock there.
That's a great rock. We're right behind the sheet here, Rob, and that is pretty much dead buried behind that guard. So real nice shot by Greg Smith, and now he's going to get Andrew Symonds thinking.
This is a big decision for Andrew here. If he ever peeled the guard.
If he peeled the guard, Rob, Greg could hit that one biting the button, and Andrew will go back to throw his last rock facing 3.
Yeah, that was it. With that other one over, which we can't see behind Symonds there, that does make him lying 3. So he would have to stick.
And I think that's Andrew's concern, to be facing 3. They're talking about just firing a draw there in the top 8 and saying, here you go now, Greg, you deal with this.
He'd have to make a double.
And if he makes the double once again, if they don't put this in the right place and Greg makes the double, Andrew goes back facing 3. The danger here is, Rob, if they're drawing down here, if they don't put it in the right place, Greg may be able to make it double and even flip in under that guard. And he'd have 2 behind cover and really put a lot of pressure on Andrew Symonds. So these guys here now, they have to be really careful with the placement of this rock.
So incredibly tenth end here as Symonds now tries to draw down. He is up 2. He does have last rock, but there's plenty of rocks in play for Greg Smith right now. He wants to be down on top, probably like to be second shot. Colin now just working a little bit. Calling it on now. And he does come down to the corner of that. That's a great shot. So all Greg has got, I think, is did he come far enough that he can get a piece of it and actually move that blue off to the left as you're looking at it?
It's pretty close, Rob. He's going to have to take it on. What he'd be looking at is hitting that lower rock and hitting about a third of that rock or a quarter of that rock and bouncing over and catching the back end of that other blue that's biting the top 4 foot and pushing that out. That's all he's got right now. He has to lie 2 or it's game over. So he has to take this shot on. There is no other option right now. This is the only shot that he has. And if he does make it and holds the shooter, Andrew Symonds is going to go back to the hack, facing 3 on his last rock.
Nerves are up. I can see. I'm watching young Trickett and Colin Thomas, not even looking at Greg as he throws this. They're just watching the house. Greg, great big Pee-wee Pickering backswing. He's got to just skim by that first guard to make this.
No good.
They jumped it
Doesn't
really
sound
hard.
they
They're going to
jumped it
have
hard.
to hold
It's
it,
curling
Rob.
a lot. It's a hit, and that's it. Oh yeah, no, they're looking around. And you see the.
I think they're all in a bit of shock here, Team Symonds.
I'm even emotional to myself.
So, Rob, Andrew Symonds, Alex Smith, Steve Trickett, Colin Thomas, and 5th Dave Naftel You are 2024 Newfoundland and Labrador Tankard champions, and you are going to the Brandt Center in Regina to represent Newfoundland.
Man, oh man, Sporty, I'm looking at this. I'm emotional myself. It's my nephew and my brother out there to speak. Anyway, we'll watch this for a second. This is very emotional for young Trickett. Two huge curling families celebrating their first brier out here today. You can see Jeff and Colin. It's wow, it's hard to watch. Tricketts are there now. You see. So you got Gene Trickett now, who's just took his daughter to the Scott Tournament of Hearts, and he's got his son going to the Brier. And there's the big one there. That's the two guys. That's Colin and Trickett, and this their first Brier. This is absolutely massive.
This takes me back to 1997 and my Ken Ellis comment to see grown men cry. Rob going to the barge. And how about Jeff Thomas? You know, your brother is amazing. In tears, absolute tears, as Colin and him hug. Just what a beautiful moment.
This is incredible. Yeah. Well, wow. Anyway, so there it is. Well, Sporty, let's close it down. Another Newfoundland and Labrador provincials in the books. Huge congratulations to Andrew Symonds, Colin Thomas, Stephen Trickett, Alex Smith, and Dave Noftel. We'll be watching you guys at the Montana's Brier, March 1st to 10th in Regina, Saskatchewan, along with Newfoundland's own Brad Gougeau, who will be representing Team Canada. It's been my pleasure to be a small part of this all week long, these men's and ladies, the commentary team. Huge thanks to Kathy Cunningham for working all this out this week. Thanks to everyone, and I hope I don't miss anyone on the mics. Sporty to you, Mark Noserty, Glenn Goss, Laura and Heather Strong, Andrew Manuel and Craig Dowden, Jeff Cunningham and Jamie Corab. This stuff doesn't just happen, so we're just so glad that everybody could come out. We owe a huge thanks to our producers, Trevor Bartlett and his team, Kevin Foley, Tim Healy, Emily Neary, Anthony Paul, and all your guys' input. It's so important. You guys put this out there for us. Thanks to you, the viewers, for making us want to come back. Please keep an eye for the St. John's Curling Club link in the YouTube for future broadcasts. But for now, this is Rob Thomas on behalf of Steve Sporty Bragg and our whole team live at the RE/MAX St. John's Curling Club, St. John's, Newfoundland, signing off and wishing you a great day. Thanks, Sporty.
Thanks, Rob. It's been a pleasure, and what a great story. Alex Smith, 35 years apart. It's going to be fun to watch these guys at the Brier. Thanks again. Have a great evening.